Chapter 5135. Boom. An earth-shattering roar sounded as if it was going to tear the Thunder Arena apart. Several 100 feet deep cracks appeared under Wu Qing and Kuang Tian's bodies, making kacha-kacha sounds as they spread out in all directions. The soaring airwaves swept across the sky above the Thunder Mountain range before the dozens of gusts of fierce wind. Thousands of thunderbolts were annihilated, and tens of thousands of lightning bolts were destroyed. Hundreds of huge space cracks were like huge tentacles that shrouded the sky. The lightning spear turned into a dragon and was struck into the night sky by the lightning hammer. The flickering lightning carried a final touch of brilliance. Although it was defeated, it was still glorious. Under the lightning spear, the muscles of Crazy Heaven's arms burst open, and blood mixed with lightning streaks disorderly gushed out. The huge force not only caused the Thunder Dharma body in front of Crazy Heaven's chest to collapse, but also caused him to tumble in the air. While bleeding from his 7 apertures, Crazy Heaven's face was pale gold. The strength that he forcibly increased under Wu Qing's absolute strength had already exceeded the limit that Crazy Heaven's spiritual master could bear. Crazy Heaven actually fainted. If Crazy Heaven's spiritual master was like this, Wu Qing would not be any better. The huge thunder hammer was also sent flying. However, it did not fly up into the sky. Instead, it fell into the Thunder Arena. The Thunder Arena, which was already full of cracks, vibrated rapidly with a boom. Merciless Thunder Beast's celestial body, which was more than 1,000 feet long, could not maintain its balance. As it flapped its wings with all its might, it still tumbled and flew in another direction. On the pitch-black Dharma body, streams of blood flowed out. Both its arms and the flesh in front of its chest were torn apart. On the Thunder Arena, the 7 great Thunder Palace Masters also found it difficult to stand firm. Each of them urged their bodies to avoid the aftermath of the collision. I.O. Fairy Jing Feng had been paying attention to Storm Wind's spiritual master. Now she shouted, "Not good, Storm Wind's spiritual master has made his move." Everyone's heart skipped a beat as they hurriedly looked over. Sure enough, just as Wu Qing's figure flew past, Storm Wind's spiritual master's figure suddenly swayed. He forced himself out of the impact of the Qi wave. His arms flashed with golden brilliance as he pounced towards Wu Qing. Thunder Mesa's spiritual master sneered, "Humph, he has a good idea. This timing is just right." Unfortunately, how can Wu Qing not be on guard against him? Following Thunder Tablet's spiritual master's voice, the corner of Wu Qing's mouth curled up slightly as a mocking smile appeared on his face. Seeing Wind's spiritual master's steel-like arm coming towards him, Wu Qing's right hand shook slightly and another lightning hammer suddenly appeared, striking towards Wind's spiritual master with lightning speed. Ha, as expected. Fairy Yao Feng laughed heartily. Wu Qing is still holding back. He actually has 2 lightning hammers. I.O., not good. Before Fairy Yao Feng could finish laughing, she was shocked again. Because at the moment when the thunder hammer was waved mercilessly, the swift wind immortal suddenly raised his hand and slapped his left arm on the top of his head. Whoosh! A sound like flowing water was heard. A wisp of watercolored brilliance emerged from the top of his head and washed down along the surface of his body. The swift wind immortal's body was already shining with golden light, so wherever the brilliance passed, it became even more dazzling. Moreover, as the brilliance of the watercolored brilliance poured down, the power of the swift wind immortal rushed from the early Yuanying stage to the middle Yuanying stage, and then, without any stagnation, to the late Yuanying stage. Ah! This was a turn of events that no one could have foreseen, including Wu Qing. Without waiting for Wu Qing to scream, the wind sage's body strangely turned into a shadow. Unable to dodge, he actually forced his way through the gap between the thunder hammer and raised his fist to punch Wu Qing's left arm that was holding the thunder hammer. Paw! A sound that was several times smaller than the collision between the thunder hammer and the thunder spear sounded. Caw caw caw. The sound of the void condensing and exploding sounded. The thunder hammer whimpered as it was sent flying. Under this attack, Wu Qing's left arm broke inch by inch. A rare expression of shock appeared on Wu Qing's face that was as cold as 10,000 years old ice. At the same time, his entire Thunder Beast celestial body rapidly shrank, and his body was actually sent flying out of the Thunder Arena. Wu Qing let out a rare cry of surprise. This is not the cultivation method of the Thunder sect. Aw! Everyone opened their mouths. They did not know what to say. This was an outcome that they had never dreamed of. However, it was not over yet. Just as Wu Qing let out a cry of surprise and leaped out of the Thunder Arena, Storm Wind Spiritual Master's body turned into a gust of wind and chased after him. His arms, which seemed to be made of gold, turned into shadows. Boom, boom, boom. A sound that was more deafening than the beating of a drum rang in the air. Every time an arm shadow appeared, the sound of thunder would resound and Wu Qing's Thunder Beast celestial body would shrink by a size. After a few breaths, the Thunder Beast celestial body, which was more than 1,000 feet long, was destroyed. Wu Qing's body retreated, tumbling in the air like a bullet. Damn it! With a roar, 2 streaks of lightning shot up into the sky. One rushed towards Storm Wind Spiritual Master and the other towards Wu Qing. Weren't they Xiang Zhili and Cui Yingying? Unfortunately, before Xiang Zhili could get close, Storm Wind Spiritual Master laughed loudly. His body swayed and turned into a rainbow, returning to the Thunder Arena. Storm Wind Spiritual Master's power had dropped, but he was still at the middle stage of the Yuanying stage. His strength was not something Xiang Zhili could compare with. Xiang Zhili naturally would not give up. He still made gestures with both hands, preparing to attack. However, Storm Wind Spiritual Master stood in the air and laughed. The battle of the Palace Lord of the Heavenly Thunder Palace has been decided. Xiang Zhili, do you want to challenge me? Damn it, damn it, damn it. Xiang Zhili rushed to the front of the Thunder Arena and cursed loudly. Old Storm Wind, you are too insidious. You are already at the middle stage of the Yuanying stage. Why did you hide your cultivation? Wu Qing was just beaten out of the Thunder Arena by you. Why did you hurt him again? Hee hee. Storm Wind Spiritual Master smiled. Xiang Zhili, Wu Qing seems to have the strength of the late stage of the Yuanying stage, right? Didn't he also hide his strength? If he can hide it, why can't I? Although Wu Qing was beaten out of the Thunder Arena by me, he can still fly back. The rules of the Battle of the Palace Lord of the Heavenly Thunder Palace did not say that anyone who flies out of the Thunder Arena would be considered defeated. This Thunder Arena is really too small for a late-stage Yuanying cultivator, so I have to be careful. At this point, Storm Wind Spiritual Master looked at Wu Qing, who was being supported by Cui Yingying in the distance. He bowed and said, Junior brother Wu Qing, I had no choice. I am sorry. Wu Qing's face was pale gold, and there was no expression on his face. He raised his hand and waved. The Purple Palace Lord's seal of the Heavenly Thunder Palace flew out of thin air and landed right on Storm Wind Spiritual Master. Humph. Xiang Zhili glared fiercely at Storm Wind Spiritual Master and flew back. He asked Wu Qing worriedly, How are you? I won't die. Wu Qing replied. Let's go. Okay. Xiang Zhili accompanied Cui Yingying, and the two of them flew back to where the disciples of the Myriad Thunder Valley were. Zhua **** was already distressed. He hurried over and caught Wu Qing. Storm Wind Spiritual Master took the Palace Lord's seal of the Heavenly Thunder Palace with a faint smile on his face. He cupped his hands at Wu Qing's back and said, thank you, junior brother Wu Qing. Then, Stormwind Spiritual Master rushed into the sky. Fairy Xianhua and the others were still in shock, still unable to extricate themselves from the previous incident. Disciple greets Sect Master. Stormwind Spiritual Master flew in front of Fairy Xianhua and cupped his hands in greeting. He offered the Palace Lord Seal of the Heavenly Thunder Palace and said, "This is the Palace Lord Seal of the Heavenly Thunder Palace. Sect Master, please accept it." Fairy Xianhua's expression eased a little, and she raised her hand to take the seal. However, she didn't take another look at the seal. Instead, she stared at Stormwind Spiritual Master and said indifferently, "Stormwind, how do you explain your extraordinary cultivation and the fact that you don't have a secret technique of the Imperial Thunder Sect?" Hee. Stormwind Spiritual Master smiled and didn't answer in a hurry. Instead, he took out a jade slip from his chest and respectfully handed it to Fairy Xianhua. "Sect Master, take a look at this first." "Okay." Fairy Xianhua nodded and took the jade slip. When she saw what was written inside, her expression changed slightly. She raised her head to look at Stormwind Spiritual Master and frowned as if she was thinking. After a while, she handed the jade slip to Fairy Xianfeng and said, "Junior Sister Xianfeng, take a look, Fairy Yaofeng received the jade slip. After reading it with her spiritual will, a strange expression appeared on her face. She exchanged a glance with Fairy Xianhua before handing the jade slip over to Thunder Mang Daoist. After all the Lightning Palace Masters had read it, Fairy Yaofeng opened her mouth and said, "Sect Master Qian Lazy, based on the handwriting and aura alone, this decree should be left behind by Sect Master Qian Lazy. However, his style of doing things is very different from Senior Brother Qian Lazy." Thunder Talisman Spiritual Master shook his head and said, "I don't believe that Senior Brother Qian Lazy left Wu Qing and Qianqing behind. Isn't this letting the two of them kill each other? It's not necessary for them to kill each other." Fairy Xianhua disagreed and said, "As the saying goes, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. It's normal for Sect Master Qian Lazy to leave two seeds behind. I even think that Sect Master Qian Lazy has other hidden hands that he hasn't revealed yet. It's just that Wu Qing and Qianqing are too outstanding and have covered up the other hidden hands. In other words, with Wu Qing and Qianqing, there's no need for other hidden hands." Wu Qing and Qianqing's outstanding performance shows that Sect Master Qian Lazy has great foresight in his arrangements. Lei Tingzi said, "I think that this jade slip was left behind by Sect Master Qian Lazy." "Indeed." Xing Yunzi thought for a moment and said, "If not for Sect Master's arrangements, how could Qianqing escape from the Imperial Thunder Sea? How could he enter the middle nascent soul stage in such a short time and even reach the late nascent soul stage? Storm, what about your Dharma body secret technique? Where did it come from?" Immortal Thunder Meng suddenly asked. Reporting to Immortal. Immortal Thunder Meng was as humble as before and said respectfully, "When I escaped from the Imperial Thunder Sea, Sect Master Qian Lazy gave it to me. I only practiced according to Sect Master Qian Lazy's arrangement and don't know where this secret technique came from." "Where's the secret technique? Can I have a look?" Immortal Thunder Meng asked. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, give it a recommendation vote, collect it, and give it as a reward. Thank you to Return, Little Duan Demonic Flower, Fern Luster, 3rd rank Small Duan, Helpless, Carl 5865, Daoist Xiao, Honghua, and Rogue Hero for their rewards. Also, thank you to all the fellow Taoists who gave out red packets for the monthly votes. Alas, your names are too enchanting. I don't dare to look straight at them. Chapter 5136. This Daoist Swift Wind hesitated, then shook his head and said, "I'm sorry, but Senior Qian Lazy once said that only the Palace Lord of Heavenly Thunder Palace can cultivate it. If sect leader agrees to abolish Senior Qian Lazy's sect leader token, I can take it out and let you have a look." "Let me have a look first." Fairy Xianhua narrowed her eyes and looked at Daoist Swift Wind. Daoist Swift Wind thought for a moment, then took out a simple jade pendant from his bosom. It was in the shape of purple thunderbolts, somewhat similar to the Palace Lord's seal of Heavenly Thunder Palace. Fairy Xianhua took the jade pendant and gave it a look, then returned it to Daoist Swift Wind and said, "This secret art is very obscure, and can only be cultivated by Yuanian cultivators. When the time is right, we'll discuss its cultivation." "Yes, sect leader." Daoist Swift Wind took the jade pendant and answered carefully. Fairy Xianhua looked around and asked, "Is there anything else you want to say?" Thunderbolt Reverend opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but like Wuqing, Daoist Swift Wind had Qian Lazy's will in his hand, and he was more reliable than Wuqing, as Qian Chang's name was written in it. The battle of the Palace Lord of Heavenly Thunder Palace was over, and no matter how shady Daoist Swift Wind's methods were, his mid-Yuanian realm and late Yuanian realm were real, so Thunderbolt Reverend really had nothing to nitpick about. Since Thunderbolt Reverend had no way to refute, the other Palace Lords naturally had nothing to say. Fairy Xianhua said with a smile, "In that case, Daoist Swift Wind is the winner of this battle." 3 days later, in Thunder Immortal Peak's Great Thunder Palace, I'll personally hand over the Palace Lord's seal to you. Daoist Swift Wind hurriedly bowed and said respectfully, "Disciple thanks sect leader for trusting me. In addition, Disciple has a presumptuous request, which I hope sect leader can agree to." "Oh. Please speak." Fairy Xianhua asked curiously. Daoist Swift Wind said with a smile, "Junior brother Wuqing's strength is not inferior to mine, and he was only shot down from the Thunder Plane due to his carelessness. Therefore, Disciple thinks that he should be qualified for the position of Heavenly Thunder Palace's Vice Palace Lord. 3 days later, sect leader will announce it." "Ha!" Fairy Xianhua rejoiced in her heart and said with a smile, "This is your Heavenly Thunder Palace's matter, so there is no need for this old one to interfere. If you personally hand over the position of Heavenly Thunder Palace's Vice Palace Master to Wuqing, wouldn't that make him even more grateful to you?" "Yes, yes." Spiritual Master Swift Wind says with a flattering smile. "That's what I thought at first, but I've offended Junior Brother Wuqing today. If he doesn't agree with me, won't my Heavenly Thunder Palace lose a great help?" Hearing this, Fairy Xianhua glanced at Reverend Lei Tan and said, "Hee, if that's the case, then I can't promise you." Without waiting for Fairy Xianhua to finish speaking, Lei Meng Daoist interrupted her and said, "Sect Master is right. Wuqing is a disciple of my shocking Thunder Palace. Previously, he was captured by Sect Master Qian Lazy. I was very reluctant to part with him. Since Sect Master Qian Lazy has other arrangements, then Wuqing will stay in Thunder Palace. My Deafening Thunder Palace may not be comparable to the Heavenly Thunder Palace, but my Deafening Thunder Palace is superior in that we have less scheming, and our disciples are shallow and emotionless. In Deafening Thunder Palace, we won't be played to death by others. Oh, and the position of Palace Master of my Heavenly Thunder Palace, I can also give it to Wuqing. Didn't Sect Master talk about reform? My Deafening Thunder Palace will also reform, and prepare to let Xiang Zhili and Cui Yingying become Vice Palace Masters of Deafening Thunder Palace." Fairy Xianhua sweats profusely, and hurriedly waves her hand and says, "The matter of the Vice Palace Masters of each Lightning Palace is the matter of each Lightning Palace, and has nothing to do with the sect. However, the change of Palace Master of each Lightning Palace is the sect's, just as Fairy Xianhua says this, whoosh. A thunder sound transmitting talisman in the distance turns into a stream of light and flies over, immediately interrupting Fairy Xianhua. Fairy Xianhua is somewhat displeased. She receives the sound-transmitting talisman but doesn't open it. Instead, she says, Thunder Meng Daoist, don't let your emotions affect your decisions. These matters still need to be, whoosh. Immediately after, 2 more thunder sound-transmitting talismans fly over from 2 other places in Thunder Mo mountain range, one of them flickering with a blood-red color. Fairy Xian Feng hurriedly urges, Sect Master, this is an urgent sound-transmitting talisman. I'm afraid there's something urgent on the west side of Thunder Mo mountain range. Take a look. Fairy Xianhua frowns, and first opens the thunder sound-transmitting talisman flickering with a blood-red brilliance. Then, she hears the anxious voice of a disciple coming from it. Sect Master, a disciple from the west side of Thunder Controlling Sect sent a message saying that the path back to Thunder Controlling Sect has been blocked by unknown cultivators. This disciple has already sent someone to investigate. Oh. Fairy Xianhua is startled, and hurriedly opens the earliest thunder sound transmitting talisman. Sure enough, a disciple's voice comes from it. Sect Master, a message from Jade Archive Hall Grand Master Zhen Qing says that when he was returning to Thunder Controlling Sect, he was chased by unknown disciples. Sect Master, please investigate and rescue him as soon as possible. What? Zhen Qing is being chased. Xing Yunzi is greatly alarmed, and he hurriedly says, Zhen Qing is already a late gold core stage cultivator. How can there be people chasing after him? Thunder Meng Daoist's face is as calm as water, and he looks at the other sound-transmitting talisman in Fairy Xianhua's hand and says, this last one is probably the same. Sure enough, when Fairy Xianhua opens the last thunder sound-transmitting talisman, a disciple's anxious voice comes out. Sect Master, a group of unknown cultivators has been discovered in the east side of Thunder Controlling Sect. They have already surrounded the east side of Thunder Controlling Sect. After this disciple investigates, these cultivators have formed a team and are about 1,000 miles away from Thunder Mo mountain range. Damn it. Fairy Xianhua angrily throws the thunder sound transmitting talisman into the air and yells, this must be a group of sword cultivators besieging my Thunder Controlling Sect. Sect Master. The nearby Swift Wind Daoist mutters to himself and says in a low voice, it's too early to come to such a conclusion. My Thunder Controlling Sect isn't in the north of the country of Xi. If there are sword cultivators heading south, it will definitely attract the attention of other Dao cultivator sects in the Cultivation 3 countries. Moreover, if they are sword cultivators, their sword equipment is very obvious. The last disciple who sent the message will definitely explain it. Of course, this is only this disciple's guess for Sect Master's reference. When Fairy Xianhua hears this, she slightly nods and says, Swift Wind Daoist is right. I was too anxious and didn't think things through. However, no matter who dares to besiege my Thunder Controlling Sect, I won't let them get what they deserve. Disciples. Speaking up to hear, Fairy Xianhua glanced around and raised her voice. We've discovered a large number of unknown cultivators surrounding the Imperial Thunder Sect. Although we don't know why they're here, they've invaded the territory of our Imperial Thunder Sect, which is a provocation to our Imperial Thunder Sect. Now that our Imperial Thunder Sect has 3 nascent soul grandmasters and 2 of them are at the late stage of the nascent soul realm, our Imperial Thunder Sect already possesses the qualifications to contend for supremacy among the 3 great sects of the state of Xi. No matter who they are, whether they are sword cultivators or Dao cultivators, I will give them a thunderous blow and let them know the power of my Thunder Controlling Sect. Lightning Daoist, Lightning Daoist, Lightning Daoist, Zhishuanzi, listen to my command. Fairy Xianhua may have many faults, but she is still the sect master of the Thunder Controlling Sect. When she hears that the Thunder Controlling Sect is besieged, she immediately flies into a rage and issues orders. When Thunderbolts Daoist, Lei Tingzi, and Zhishuanzi hear this, they don't dare to be negligent and hurriedly bow and salute. Disciples will follow sect master's orders. I don't understand war, so I will leave the task of resisting the enemy to you all. Fairy Xianhua orders, you must beat the enemy to a pulp and boost the morale of my thunder-controlling sect. Yes, disciples will not disappoint sect master. Thunderbolts Daoist, Lei Tingzi, and Jishuanzi receive the order, and after a brief discussion, they assign tasks and send their disciples to defend the thunder-controlling sect. Most of the thunder-controlling sect's disciples are now in front of the thunder arena, so it is very convenient to dispatch them. In just a short while, the disciples have already flown out, according to the arrangement, to reinforce the thunder-controlling sect's array. The competition of the 100 halls and the battle of the palace master of the Heavenly Thunder Palace really made their blood boil. Just as Fairy Xianhua said, they firmly believe that the thunder-controlling sect is already standing at the peak of the 3 kingdoms of cultivators. If anyone dares to offend the thunder-controlling sect, they will definitely return in defeat. Sect Master. After the first batch of disciples left, Thunderbolts Daoist and the other nascent soul cultivators in the sect gathered together and returned, saying, the disciples to defend have been assigned, and the disciples to fight have been prepared. We are just waiting for the news from the scouting disciples, then our thunder-controlling sect will give them a head-on blow. Now that our thunder-controlling sect has enough nascent soul disciples, we are not afraid of this battle. Good. Fairy Xianhua looks at the nascent soul cultivators of the thunder-controlling sect and claps her hands, saying, Junior brothers, you have done very well. This seat is a woman and does not have the ability to dispatch troops. The only thing this seat can do is to support you in the sect. If you have any needs, this seat will satisfy all of you. After the Sword Dao War, our thunder-controlling sect has not fought a big battle. This is really an opportunity. Whoosh! Another thunder sound transmitting talisman flew over, interrupting Fairy Xianhua's words. Fairy Xianhua is helpless and did not dare to be negligent. She took the thunder sound transmitting talisman and handed it over to Thunderbolts Daoist, saying, Junior brother Thunderbolts, now is a time of war. The battlefield will be under your command. Good. Thunderbolts Daoist knows that this is not the time to be courteous, so he accepted the sound transmitting talisman. When he opened the sound transmitting talisman, he heard a disciple's voice, reporting to Sect Master, the special envoys of the Immortal Alliance's Judgment Hall, Yi Shuaihui and Xayan Yang have come to seek an audience. Ah! Fairy Xianhua is stunned. She looks at Thunderbolts Daoist, then at Lei Tingzi and Jishuanzi, asking curiously, why did the special envoys of the Immortal Alliance come to our thunder-controlling sect at this time? Thunderbolts Daoist passes the sound-transmitting talisman to Fairy Xianhua and says with a frown, Sect Master, please no. I am also surprised. Although the Immortal Alliance is known as the Dao Cultivator Alliance of the 3 Kingdoms of Cultivation, in fact, except for the Immortal Demon War, it usually does not interfere in the affairs of the sections. According to before the last Immortal Demon War, the special envoys of the Immortal Alliance came to our thunder-controlling sect to pass on the Alliance Master's order. After Sect Master Qian Lazy received the order, he asked Master Lei Tingzi, Master Lei Yunzi, and Master Zhen Yuan to bring our thunder-controlling sect disciples to the demon-resisting valley to participate in the war. At other times, there has never been an Alliance Master's order. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, give it a recommendation vote, collect it, and give it a tip. Chapter 5137. Master Lei Meng and the other spirit severing seniors should have seen the so-called alliance leader in demon-resisting valley. Lei Ting looked at the crowd and said self-deprecatingly, I and senior brother Lei Meng have only seen them from afar. I really don't know why they sent an envoy here today. I know what junior brother Lei Meng is talking about. Fairy Xianhua nodded and said, I was there when the alliance leader's envoy came to Great Thunder Palace. I wonder why the envoy from the Judgment Hall of the Immortal Alliance suddenly came here. Daoist Swift Wind frowned and looked around, then asked tentatively, Sect Master, I think, the envoy from the Judgment Hall of the Immortal Alliance is here because of the cultivators surrounding our Imperial Thunder sect. That's right. Fairy Xianhua suddenly raised her eyebrows and said, the Alliance leader must have received some news and specially sent a message. Junior brother Lei Meng, let's invite the envoy in. Daoist Swift Wind frowned and shook his head, saying, our Imperial Thunder sect is currently on guard. The situation outside the Thunder Mo Mountains is unknown. These two cultivators said they are the Immortal Alliance's envoys. Who knows if they are? Let's meet outside the sect's formation. Okay, we'll listen to Junior Brother's arrangement. Fairy Xianhua nodded and looked around. Let's go and meet the Alliance leader's envoy. After she finished speaking, Fairy Xianhua turned into a rainbow and flew towards the mountain gate. After everyone had flown up, Xiang Zhili supported Wu Qing and said, what Alliance head's special envoy? Do you want us to go greet him? Wu Qing, how are your injuries? Wu Qing's face was pale gold, but he didn't say anything and just nodded slightly. Cui Yingying's face turned pale and she shouted, what are you going for? We'll return to the Myriad Thunder Valley. You should meditate for 100 years first. Wu Qing said helplessly, unknown cultivators are surrounding the Imperial Thunder sect. A great battle is imminent. Although I'm injured, I'm still a mid-nascent soul cultivator. Even if I don't fight, I'll still be a deterrent. Sect Master didn't let me go because he wanted me to meditate. Didn't you see that the Myriad Thunder Valley's disciples have already formed a team and are preparing for battle with the Thunder Palace? How can I go back and meditate? Fine. Cui Yingying said in a low voice. We'll just watch and absolutely can't fight. You've just entered the mid-nascent soul realm. Damned Gale. Xiang Zhili sneered, this bastard is doing this on purpose. He wants to dispel your ability to compete for the position of Palace Master of the Heavenly Thunder Palace, so that you won't be able to. At this point, Xiang Zhili's eyes suddenly flashed with a cold light, and he transmitted his voice, no, Wu Qing, this bastard's plan is definitely not limited to this. If he simply wanted to protect the Palace Lord of the Heavenly Thunder Palace, the outcome would have been decided the moment you flew out of the Thunder Arena, and he wouldn't have to do anything. The reason why he made a move was because he was afraid that you would fight with him for the sect leader position. Your injury is definitely not as simple as it looks on the surface. Alas. Wu Qing glanced at Cui Yingying beside him and transmitted his voice, you're right. My realm has gradually regressed from the middle stage of the nascent soul realm. Didn't I tell you earlier that Master Jiffing's methods were extremely ruthless? His technique isn't a secret technique of the Imperial Thunder sect. Then hurry up and cultivate. Go find Master Lei Ting. Xiang Zhili said anxiously. Wu Qing shook his head. Since the realm has already regressed, it's not something that can be easily resolved. There was no particular use in meditating at this moment. Master Lei Ting. He's nearing the end of his life and can't even take care of himself. How can I cause trouble for him? Then what should we do? Xiang Zhili was anxious. Wu Qing gave a rare smile and said, nothing. At this point, everyone had already flown up. Wu Qing hurriedly said, hurry up and take me there. Don't let Master Jiffing notice anything. Ah. Xiang Zhili was shocked. He didn't dare to delay and hurriedly gave Cui Yingying a look. Although the two of them didn't support Wu Qing, they still flew up with Wu Qing and flew behind everyone at a leisurely pace. After flying for a while, Xiang Zhili hurriedly asked, Wu Qing, tell me the truth. What's going on? Wu Qing pondered for a moment and transmitted his voice, I can tell you, but you can't tell Yingying, much less my mother. I promise you. Xiangjili agreed without hesitation. Wu Qing replied, after Master Jifeng injured me, he released his divine sense twice to check on me. It seems that he wants to know the extent of my injury. I didn't dare to be negligent and secretly used the secret technique we got to hide the injury of my nascent soul. But since Master Jifeng came to check on me, no matter what his plan is, I can't return to the Myriad Thunder Valley. I can't be separated from you, and I can't even be separated from the masters of the 7 Thunder Palaces. Damn it! Xiangjili cursed in a low voice and said fiercely, why does this guy seem to hate my Myriad Thunder Valley? Could he be a disciple of another sect? No. Wu Qing replied, since he also has Master Qianlai's handwritten order, it must be his arrangement. Besides, he's already in the late stage of the nascent soul realm. In other sects, he already has the strength of a master. There's no reason for him to spy on my Imperial Thunder sect. He probably wants to get the position of master of the Imperial Thunder sect. He's afraid that I'll make trouble, so he wants to cut the weeds and destroy my realm. Handwritten orders can also be fake. Xiangjili said, he's already in the late stage of the nascent soul realm. Even if it's fake, the old woman can't tell. If it's fake. Wu Qing smiled bitterly. My Heavenly Thunder Palace's Palace Master Seal is the easiest to fake. However, since Swift Wind Spiritual Master doesn't want to reveal it, we can't reveal it either. After all, he's already very powerful. If he gets angry out of humiliation, we'll be the first to suffer. Right now, our self-preservation is the most important thing. Yes, I understand. Xiangjili nodded. First, we'll protect ourselves. After we get through this crisis, we'll immediately leave the Imperial Thunder sect. At the very least, we'll enter the eye of the formation and use the formation to protect ourselves. I hope my feeling is wrong. Wu Qing said worriedly. This Swift Wind Spiritual Master is only after the position of Master. Eldest senior brother, Wu Qing. Cui Yingying, who was watching from the side, couldn't help but ask in a low voice, what are you talking about? Little girl. Xiangjili glared at her and said, you just need to support Wu Qing. Why do you care so much? Cui Yingying was used to being reprimanded by Xiangjili, so she didn't mind. However, Xiangjili's reprimand made Cui Yingying's heart clench. She had already heard something from Xiangjili's words. She quickly tightened her grip on Wu Qing's arm and transmitted her voice, Wu Qing, what happened? Wu Qing glared at Xiangjili in annoyance, then squeezed out a smile and said, nothing. The two of us discussed that after this, the 3 of us will make a trip to the Flame Forest Swamp and see if there's anything we missed in the secret area. Okay. Cui Yingying was a little suspicious, but she didn't ask any more questions. She only nodded and said, don't forget to call me when you leave. You're Wu Qing's little tail. How could I abandon you? Xiangjili smiled. When he said this, Cui Yingying's face flushed red. Her tightly clenched fist suddenly loosened, and Wu Qing glared at Xiangjili again without saying anything. The situation instantly became awkward. Xiangjili saw this and laughed. What's wrong? Haven't you been a little tail since you were young? What's there to be shy about? You were in the past, now, and in the future. Cui Yingying lowered her head. Her nose was already touching her chest. Wu Qing's expression didn't change. He just looked indifferently at the group of people who had turned into rainbows flying in the distance. Sigh. Xiangjili sighed helplessly when he saw that the 2 of them didn't continue the conversation. He could only sigh. He was anxious. He knew Cui Yingying's feelings for Wu Qing the best. It was a pity that one was his martial uncle, and the other was a junior. If there were 2 Thunder Palaces, it wouldn't be a big deal. However, the two of them were not only one Thunder Palace, but also one 10,000 Thunder Valley. The 10,000 Thunder Valley was currently in the limelight. If this matter was exposed, not only would Zhuo Bingying faint from anger, the entire Thunder Palace would be in chaos. Some people were bad at cultivation, so they created trouble out of nothing. They were the best at pointing fingers and gossiping. While they were talking, the nascent soul cultivators had already arrived at the mountain gate. At this time, the mountain gate was already filled with the Imperial Thunder Sect's troops. A disciple had already come to greet them. He raised his hand and pointed at the two golden core cultivators outside the mountain guarding array. Reporting to Sect Master, they are the special envoys of the Immortal Alliance's Judgment Hall. Their names are Yishuaihui and Xan Yang. They said that they have the Immortal Alliance's order and token. However, this disciple didn't dare to act rashly and only asked them to wait outside the array. Well done. Fairy Xianhua nodded. Then, she looked into the distance and asked, did the disciples who investigated the situation report back? Most of them haven't reported back yet. The disciple replied. Only a few disciples sent back a message saying that a large number of cultivators have indeed come. However, the cultivators they encountered all stopped 1,000 miles away and didn't advance in the direction of our Imperial Thunder Sect. Sect Master also knows that our Imperial Thunder Sect's patrol range is only 300 miles. We regularly patrol within 500 miles. Outside of 1,000 miles, it's already far beyond our patrol range. I understand. Fairy Xianhua waved her hand and said, this matter isn't your fault. In the past few decades, our Imperial Thunder Sect has been too focused on internal affairs. We have been concealing our strength and biding our time. We have been less involved in the Dao cultivation trend and the decisions of the large sections. We might have overlooked something. Cough cough. Thunder Mang Daoist coughed a few times and said in a low voice, Sect Master, let's invite the special envoys of the Immortal Alliance's Judgment Hall in first. After all, they have been waiting for a long time. Fairy Xianhua glanced at Thunder Meng Daoist and ordered, invite the special envoys of the Immortal Alliance's Judgment Hall in. Yes, this disciple understands. After the disciple received the order, he ordered his subordinates to inform them. Thunder Meng Daoist ordered the disciples who were on guard to set up a large array behind them to prevent any changes from occurring. Not long after, two early gold core stage cultivators swaggered in from outside the formation. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, give it as a reward, and... Chapter 5138. The person in front had an ordinary appearance. Although he was a little old and had wrinkles on his face was rosy and looked very plump. The person behind him was the exact opposite. Not only was he thin, his face was also abnormally dry. His Daoist robe was a little sloppy and his hair was messy. However, this person's eyes were flashing with a rather crystalline light. Compared to the person in front, his eyes were much more turbid. This old man is the special envoy of the Immortal Alliance's Judgment Hall, Yishuaihui. Greetings to the Imperial Thunder Sect leader. The chubby gold core cultivator in front casually bowed and saluted. From the looks of it, he really didn't live up to his name. This one is the special envoy of the Immortal Alliance's Judgment Hall, Xian Yang. Greetings to the sect leader. After that, the skinny gold core cultivator saluted. Although he was slightly more respectful than Yishuaihui, he wasn't much better. Therefore, without waiting for Fairy Xianhua to speak, Thunder Tablet Immortal said indifferently, you can wait. What's the matter? Tell this old man first. You. Yishuaihui and Xian Yang laughed coldly and stood up. We are here to deliver the arbitration order under the orders of the Immortal Alliance's Judgment Hall. The Alliance leader specifically said that this arbitration order will be delivered to the Imperial Thunder sect leader. Who are you? How dare you accept the arbitration order? Arbitration order. Thunder Tablet Immortal was stunned. This was the first time he heard of an arbitration order and he didn't know what it was. However, seeing that the two Gold Core cultivators were so arrogant and didn't put the Imperial Thunder sect in their eyes, he mustered up his courage and said, "You don't need to know who this old man is. All you need to know is that this old man is in charge of all external affairs of the Imperial Thunder sect. You're in charge." Xian Yang sneered. "You think you can make us hand over the arbitration order of the Immortal Alliance's Judgment Hall with just one sentence? You think too highly of yourself." Yi Shuaihui also said, "We are here under the orders of the Immortal Alliance's Judgment Hall to deliver this arbitration order to the Imperial Thunder sect leader. If your Imperial Thunder sect doesn't accept the arbitration order, we will turn around and leave. The serious consequences of this matter and the anger of the Immortal Alliance's Judgment Hall will be borne by your Imperial Thunder sect." Yi Shuaihui and Xian Yang kept mentioning the Immortal Alliance's Hall of Adjudication. When they mentioned the arbitration order, the Immortal Alliance's Hall of Adjudication was indeed an organization of the Immortal Alliance. Fairy Xianhua pondered for a moment, then took a step forward and said, "I'm the sect master of the Imperial Thunder sect, Fairy Xianhua." Yi Shuaihui and Xian Yang looked at each other, then Yi Shuaihui sneered and said, "Sect master, aren't you here? Why didn't you say anything just now? You're obviously slighting us." "Slighting us is nothing. After all, you're nascent soul seniors, so we don't dare to say anything. But we are the special envoys of the Immortal Alliance's Hall of Judgment. Seeing us is like seeing the Immortal Alliance's Hall of Judgment. We have traveled through the 3 cultivation countries and even the Huan country, but we have never seen a sect as arrogant as the Imperial Thunder sect, who doesn't put the Immortal Alliance in their eyes." This. Fairy Xianhua was at a loss for words. She frowned and looked at Reverend Lei Meng, seemingly complaining. At this moment, Reverend Jiffing took a step forward and said indifferently, "Fellow Taoists, who are you waiting for? You didn't even take out the token of the Immortal Alliance's Hall of Judgment and your own tokens. How can you claim to be the special envoys of the Immortal Alliance's Hall of Judgment with just a touch of your lips? The reason why our sect master came out to see you is because he respects the Immortal Alliance. If you do as I said, I'll take you down and interrogate you later." "Damn it." Yi Shuaihui was taken aback and said hastily, "It's not that we didn't take out the token, but just now we already." "Don't talk about just now. It's useless." Reverend Jeffing sneered and said, "What happened after our sect master came out? Did you show your tokens?" Xian Yang opened his mouth, but still wanted to argue. Then, Reverend Jiffing ordered, "Disciples, since these two can't take out the token of the Immortal Alliance's Hall of Judgment, they must be spies. Quickly take them down." "Yes." The disciples roared in unison. Although they were both Foundation Establishment and Qi Refining disciples, their fighting spirit was different. When their voices fell into the ears of Yi Shuaihui and Xian Yang, it really gave them a fright. The two helplessly took out their tokens and handed them over in a somewhat disrespectful manner, saying, "Sect Master, this is Junior's token." Fairy Xianhua was about to raise her hand, but Reverend Jiffing took it first. After looking at it a few times, he respectfully handed it back to Fairy Xianhua and said, "Sect Master, this disciple has never seen the token of the Immortal Alliance's Hall of Judgment. Please identify it." Fairy Xianhua smiled and said, "Let's leave this matter to Reverend Lei Meng." "Yes, Sect Master." Reverend Jiffing answered and turned to hand it over to Reverend Lei Meng. Looking at the two tokens with the words Hall of Judgment written on them, Reverend Lei Meng thought for a moment and vaguely felt that they were similar to the Alliance leader's token. He used his divine sense to take a look and returned the tokens to the two. Then, he turned to Fairy Xianhua and nodded, saying, "Sect Master, these two tokens should be authentic." "Good." Fairy Xianhua nodded and looked at Yi Shuaihui and Xan Yang, saying, "Since they are real envoys, there is no need to capture them. What brings you to my Imperial Thunder Sect?" "Sect Master of Imperial Thunder Sect." Yi Shuaihui took out another crystal jade amulet and placed it on top of his head, saying loudly, "Accept the Immortal Alliance's arbitration token." Fairy Xianhua had no choice but to bow and say, "Junior Fairy Xianhua accepts the Immortal Alliance's arbitration token." Yi Shuaihui proudly glanced at Fairy Xianhua, who had her head lowered, and said, "The Imperial Thunder Sect is informed that Bering Sect has filed a complaint against you for occupying several hills and not returning them for a long time. After careful investigation by the disciples of the Immortal Alliance, Bering Sect's evidence is conclusive and detailed. Therefore, these hills belong to Bering Sect. Imperial Thunder Sect is ordered to return all the hills to Bering Sect within 3 days of accepting the arbitration token without delay. If not, it will be regarded as disobeying the Immortal Alliance's arbitration token and the consequences will be borne by them." Immortal Alliance's Hall of Judgment. Fairy Xianhua was dumbfounded, the 5 great Lightning Palace Masters were dumbfounded, all the nascent soul cultivators of Imperial Thunder Sect, and even the disciples on guard were dumbfounded. For a time, the entire Imperial Thunder Sect was silent, to the point that even the sound of a needle dropping could be heard. After half a cup of tea's time, Yi Shuaihui felt that his raised arm was sore, and Fairy Xianhua tentatively asked, "Are you sure this is the Immortal Alliance's arbitration token?" Just because of a few hills. Also, what kind of sect was this barbarian sect? How come I've never heard of such a sect near my Imperial Thunder Sect? Yi Shuaihui coldly replied, "Sorry, we're only responsible for delivering the arbitration token, not answering it. The arbitration token contains the basis and results of the arbitration. If you don't understand, you can write a letter to the Immortal Alliance within a day. Imperial Thunder Sect Master, you don't have to accept the arbitration token, but once I tell you the contents of the arbitration token, it will take effect immediately. May I ask, Imperial Thunder Sect Master, do you want to accept the arbitration token?" "Alas, what the hell is this?" Fairy Xianhua sighed, looked around, and asked, "Have you heard of this Bering Sect? Or do you know where the hills that Fei Lin Men mentioned are?" Thunder Mang Daoist didn't say anything, but turned to look at Fairy Xiang Feng and the others. They were also puzzled and shook their heads. Swift Wind Daoist hastily reminded, "Sect Master, the arbitration token must contain the records of the so-called Bering Sect, as well as the disputes about those hills. Why don't you take it and have a look? Since the special envoy says that the arbitration token has taken effect, it doesn't matter whether we accept it or not." "All right." Fairy Xianhua thought for a moment and agreed. She had heard it, so why bother about whether she should accept it or not? Unfortunately, when Fairy Xianhua stretched out her hand to take it, Yi Shuaihui didn't let go, but looked at her indifferently with a big smile on his fat face. Next to him, Xan Yang smiled and said, "Sect Master of Imperial Thunder Sect, I heard that the spirit wine of Imperial Thunder Sect is very famous. If we return and say that we haven't tasted it, not only will we lose face, but the reputation of Imperial Thunder Sect and the Immortal Alliance will also be greatly damaged, right?" Damn it. Fairy Xianhua suddenly understood something. She looked at Yi Shuaihui and Xan Yang in disbelief. She couldn't believe her ears and even more couldn't believe her own comprehension. She cursed in a low voice and asked, "Are you too sure that this is my Imperial Thunder Sect spiritual wine?" Cough cough. Xan Yang coughed and said with a smile, "Maybe it's a spirit wine. Anyway, any famous wine will do. You can't expect us to Unfortunately, before the two of them could finish speaking, a gust of strange wind suddenly arose, and then a large hand grabbed out of thin air. Yi Shuaihui's figure was instantly confined by this large hand. Yi Shuaihui thought that someone had attacked him, and he was frightened to the point cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Fortunately, although the big hand imprisoned him, it didn't hurt him at all. After taking the arbitration order, it released him. Yi Shuaihui naturally knew that Imperial Thunder Sect didn't dare to hurt the envoy of the Alliance Master, so he said in a strange tone, "I didn't expect the famous Imperial Thunder Sect to be so stingy. Not only did you not let us in for a cup of tea, but you also humiliated us in front of so many disciples of Imperial Thunder Sect. I will definitely report this matter to the Immortal Alliance Hall of Judgment and even to the Alliance Master." After saying that, Yi Shuaihui whispered to Axayan Yang, "Let's go." The one who took the arbitration order was actually Daoist Jifeng. He said coldly, "Wait. What's the matter? Senior, is there anything else?" Axayan Yang said coldly, "Could it be that you don't want us to return safely to the Immortal Alliance?" Daoist Jifeng said proudly to the two, "This old man is Daoist Jifeng. You can go back and explain it to your Alliance Master. Seizing the arbitration order is this old man's business. It has nothing to do with the Sect Master. Also, my Sect Master hasn't allowed you to leave yet. Why do you want to leave?" "You." Axayan Yang said angrily, "Don't worry, Senior Jifeng. I remember your name clearly and will definitely report it to the Alliance Master. As for the Imperial Thunder Sect Master, do you have anything else to ask? If not, we are in a hurry to report it to the Alliance Master. P.S. Fellow cultivators who like this book, please subscribe to it at Chidian. Vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, give it a tip, and... Chapter 5139. Fairy Xianhua was very satisfied with Swift Wind Spiritual Master's actions. She smiled and said, "Swift Wind Spiritual Master, show me the arbitration order. Remember, without my permission, no one is allowed to leave the mountain gate of Imperial Thunder Sect." "Yes, Sect Master." Swift Wind Spiritual Master handed over the arbitration order and said loudly, "Disciple will kill anyone who dares to leave." With that, Swift Wind Spiritual Master's sword-like gaze swept past the two gold core cultivators. Yi Shuaihui and Axayan Yang shrank their necks and did not leave. However, when Fairy Xianhua scanned the arbitration order with her divine sense, her face changed instantly and she shouted, "Outrageous! My Imperial Thunder Sect's Zimu Ridge, Sha and Peak, and Island Reef Peak are clearly high mountains. How can they be hills? Moreover, the Imperial Thunder Sect southern peaks have belonged to my Imperial Thunder Sect since ancient times, no, ever since my Imperial Thunder Sect was founded. What's more, these peaks are within my Imperial Thunder Sect's protective array. How can they belong to some barbarian sect? This is obviously a bunch of nonsense. Whether it's a bunch of nonsense or not, we don't know." Axayan Yang replied, "Sect Master already knows. Didn't the arbitration order say it clearly? If Imperial Thunder Sect has any objections, they can appeal to the Immortal Alliance." "Bullshit." Thunder Tablet Spiritual Master could not help but roar, "The so-called barbarian sect covets the foundation of my Imperial Thunder Sect. They have the right to appeal to the Immortal Alliance. Who knows where the Immortal Alliance's gate is? Oh my." Yi Shuaihui sneered and looked at Thunder Tablet's Spiritual Master. "Senior, you're really daring to slander my Immortal Alliance. Am I right?" Thunder Tablet's Spiritual Master was not afraid and asked, "What does the Immortal Alliance do?" It was during the Great War of Immortals and Demons that the Immortal Alliance deployed to meet the demon race's invasion. Usually, the Immortal Alliance has no right to interfere in the affairs of the three kingdoms of cultivators. If this bullshit barbarian sect is not satisfied, they can come to my Imperial Thunder sect. Don't use the Immortal Alliance to oppress us. I have never heard of this Immortal Alliance's Hall of Judgment. Hee hee. Xian Yang looked at Fairy Xianhua and asked, Sect Master, what this senior said, represents the Imperial Thunder sect. Not bad. Fairy Xianhua nodded and threw the crystal-like arbitration order to Yi Shuaihui. I've never heard of an arbitration order. This arbitration order, my Imperial Thunder sect doesn't recognize it. Who knew that Yi Shuaihui would not accept the arbitration order at all? He only said, once the arbitration order is issued, it has already taken effect. It cannot be taken back. Take it or leave it. The Swift Wind Immortal raised his hand and caught the arbitration token, saying, this thing looks very solid. I'll take it back and use it as a cushion for my table. When Xian Yang and Yi Shuaihui heard this, their expressions changed slightly. They looked at each other and asked in unison, Imperial Thunder Sect Master, can we leave now? Get lost, I won't see you off. The Swift Wind Sage said with a laugh. However, Xian Yang and Yi Shuaihui did not move. They only looked at Fairy Xianhua. Please. Fairy Xianhua indifferently said, go back and report to Lord Alliance Head that this is a matter of my Imperial Thunder sect, a matter of my Shiguxiu. Ask him to worry more about the Immortal Demon War and not spend his energy on these trivial matters. Okay, I'll report to Lord Sect Master's words in full detail. Xian Yang and Yi Shuaihui nodded in agreement and simultaneously urged their figures to fly. However, after flying for more than 1,000 feet, they turned back and said with a smile, by the way, we said before that those who do not obey the arbitration order will bear the consequences. I hope Imperial Thunder Sect Master will reconsider. Not good. Suddenly, the Swift Wind Sage seemed to understand something and hurriedly shouted, don't let them go. They are related to the unknown cultivators who besieged Imperial Thunder Sect. The Thunder Talisman Immortal laughed and said, let them go. They are just two small fries. Why bother with them? Even if you let them stay, you won't get any information. The two early-stage Golden Core disciples from the Immortal Alliance were planning this. Yes, Disciple will listen to Immortal's instructions. The Swift Wind Sage was very respectful to the Thunder Talisman Immortal. He nodded and handed the arbitration token to the Thunder Talisman Immortal, saying, Immortal, please take a look, okay? The Thunder Talisman Immortal took the arbitration order and looked at it. Although he already knew the content, he was still so angry that his face changed color. He passed the arbitration order to Fairy Xian Feng and said, Senior sister, take a look. It's really black and white, deliberately mystifying. Yes. The Swift Wind Sage smiled bitterly and said, the mountains in the south are the territory of Imperial Thunder Sect, and also the place where the sect protecting formation is deployed. How can we cede it to others? The problem is, what is this bearing nether sect that suddenly appeared? Disciple has never heard of it. The arbitration order also does not explain. There must be a mastermind behind this. After Fairy Xian Feng finished reading it, she passed it to Lei Tingzi and said, this mastermind covets the foundation of Imperial Thunder Sect, so he fabricated a sect. This sect then fabricated a territory issue and gave it to the Immortal Alliance, who did not know what was going on. But the Immortal Alliance did not know what was going on and issued this arbitration order. The Swift Wind Sage nodded and said, if we push it further, this Immortal Alliance might not be reliable. They might also be after some benefits. Fairy Xianhua shook her head and said, apart from the Vice Alliance Master of Falling Star Heaven, the rest of the Immortal Alliance are elders of various sections. With their reputations, they would not damage their own image. I'm afraid this matter has nothing to do with the Immortal Alliance, but is related to this Vice Alliance Master of Falling Star Heaven. He arbitrarily used the name of the Immortal Alliance to set up this Immortal Alliance Judgment Hall and issued this arbitration order. Don't say that he is using the name of the Immortal Alliance. Lei Tingzi looked at the arbitration order and sneered. Even if it is really the arbitration of the Immortal Alliance, it still depends on what the arbitration order is. It is impossible for Imperial Thunder Sect to accept such an absurd arbitration result. There is another question. The Swift Wind Sage changed the topic and said, is the cultivators who are besieging my Imperial Thunder Sect related to this arbitration order? Is it related to the Bearing Nether Sect? Is it related to the Immortal Alliance? The Swift Wind Sage pinched his chin and said in a low voice, it's hard to say. We still need the patrolling disciples to ascertain the identity of the cultivators who are about 1,000 miles away. And to ascertain the identity of the cultivators who are about 1,000 miles away, I'm afraid it will take at least 2 or 3 days. 3 days? The Swift Wind Sage asked curiously, isn't that the time limit of the arbitration order? Lei Tingzi said, therefore, there is no need to wait for the patrolling disciples to return. The cultivators who are besieging my Imperial Thunder Sect must be related to the Bearing Nether Sect and the Immortal Alliance. He's trying to force my Imperial Thunder Sect to show his strength. In that case. Fairy Xianhua pondered for a moment and said, I'm afraid I can't deal with it. I still need the 3 elders to deal with the Immortal Alliance. The Swift Wind Sage nodded in agreement, not to mention the sect master, even senior brother Qian Lazy doesn't have the experience to deal with the Immortal Alliance. Let's ask the 3 elders to come out. Wu Qing, Li Er, Engying, go. Xiang Zhili hesitated for a moment before whispering a few words to Lei Meng Reverend. Frowning, Lei Meng Reverend replied, how about this, you all go there. You don't have to bring the sect master's token, you only need to explain the cause of the matter and see what the 3 seniors think. If they are willing to help, then you all can return with them. If they are not willing, then you all can wait for your return. Yes, we understand. Xiang Zhili, Wu Qing, and Cui Yingying didn't dare to delay and hurriedly left. Fairy Xianhua was puzzled and asked, Junior brother Lei Meng, what's the matter? The Swift Wind Sage helplessly replied, Li Er said that the 3 elders' lifespans are about to come to an end. If they help, I'm afraid they won't be able to hold on for long. Alas, blessings don't come in pairs and misfortune doesn't come alone. Fairy Xianhua said and then ordered, Junior brother Lei Meng, prepare the battle team. I'm afraid this arbitration of the Immortal Alliance won't end well. All right. Receiving the order, the Swift Wind Sage began to discuss with Lei Tingzi, Zhishuanzi, and Xing Yunzi to increase the number of disciples assigned. At this time, all the palace masters of the Thunder Palace had finished reading the arbitration token. The crystal-like arbitration token fell into the hands of the Swift Wind Sage. He took it and looked at the frowning Fairy Xianhua and said with a smile, although my Thunder Palace sect isn't one of the 3 great sects in the country of Xi, we're not easy to bully. No matter who comes, we'll teach them a lesson. With that, Swift Wind Sage's hand flickered with lightning. Crack. The arbitration token was crushed by him and flew to the front of the Swift Wind Sage and said, Sage, this disciple requests to lead the disciples of the Heavenly Thunder Palace to fight the enemies to the death. Good. The Swift Wind Sage nodded and said, since junior brother Lei Meng has such an idea, I will certainly satisfy you. Why don't you come and discuss with us? As the Swift Wind Sage said, although the Thunder Palace sect wasn't one of the 3 great sects in the country of Xi, it had many disciples and the Thunder Mo mountain range covered a vast area. 2 days passed quickly in the time it took for the Thunder Palace sect to mobilize the troops. Out of the 10 disciples of the Thunder Palace sect, 6 of them were sent out. Among these 6 disciples, many of them directly formed battle teams outside the sect protecting Grand Array and joined with the sect protecting Grand Array in preparation to face the enemy. During these 2 days, the scouting disciples returned one after another. However, the information they could provide was limited. Apart from knowing that the Imperial Thunder sect was surrounded by unknown cultivators, Lei Meng Daoist and the rest still had no idea who these cultivators were. Moreover, due to the limited strength of the scouting disciples, the cultivators besieging the Thunder Palace sect also formed battle teams. The scouting disciples also didn't know how many cultivators were besieging the Thunder Palace sect. Everyone. Fairy Xian Hua's brows furrowed even more. Looking at the 6 great Lightning Palace masters and the numerous nascent soul disciples, she said, "The situation is getting more and more urgent. Although I can't figure out who these cultivators are, from what I see, they are either sword cultivators in disguise or heavenly demon sect disciples besieging the mountain. I remember that a similar situation happened to the Profound Heaven sect several hundred years ago. Therefore, we need to send a rescue signal to the 3 great sects in the country of Xi. Junior brother Lei Meng, what do you think? P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, give it as a reward, and thanks to the Alliance Master Dongfang Yushan, Shfeng 99, Don't Smoke Boxing, 375665, HS Flow, Yi Qitian, Yi Shuaihui, Lonely Days with Prosperity, Little Jian Jian, White Mo 2577, reading the original version for the Cultivation God, loyal fan of the Cultivation God, Spiritual Master Shao, Smoke and Clouds 999, GUF 8547985, and so on.
Chapter 5140. Sect Master. Thunder Tablet Spiritual Master nodded. Sect Master is right. I had already sent a disciple to break out of the encirclement and send a message before the Immortal Alliance's special envoy arrived. Good. Fairy Xianhua was very gratified, and she said with a smile, if the Sword Cultivators or the Sky Fiend sect were to receive the news and launch an attack from outside the encirclement, then we'll launch a pincer attack from both inside and outside. We'll definitely be able to annihilate the Sword Cultivators and the Sky Fiend sect. Sect Master. Swift Wind Spiritual Master took advantage of the situation and said, the Sword Cultivators or the Heavenly Demon sect's action this time was very secretive. Not only did our Imperial Thunder sect not receive the slightest bit of information, even the other sects in the country of Xi did not send out any signal. It seems that in the information aspect of our Tao cultivators, we really did not invest much. This disciple suggests that our Imperial Thunder sect should use the influence of the Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce to strengthen our ability in this aspect. Fairy Xianhua nodded slightly and said, you're right. With so many enemies at the foot of the mountain, we realize that this kind of thing must never happen again. The Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce will be temporarily under your Heavenly Thunder Palace's charge. You should start preparing now. When you become the Palace Master of Heavenly Thunder Palace, this seat will let you take charge of this matter. I don't agree. Without waiting for Swift Wind Spiritual Master to speak, Crazy Heaven roared not far away. The Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce was established by my good grandson, how can it be controlled by him? Swift Wind Spiritual Master smiled slightly and said, Sect Master, Crazy Heaven is right. The Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce was established by Qian Diheng. It's not appropriate for this disciple to rashly join, what's not appropriate about it? Fairy Xianhua raised her eyebrows and said, you're the Palace Master of Heavenly Thunder Palace and Qian Diheng is a disciple of Heavenly Thunder Palace. It's natural for you to control the Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce. Besides, although the Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce was established by Qian Diheng, its development was supported by the Heavenly Thunder Palace and my Imperial Thunder Sect. Without the Imperial Thunder Sect as the foundation, would the Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce be where it is today? Cough cough. Thunder Tablet Spiritual Master coughed softly and said, Sect Master, this matter is of great importance. It's better to let Swift Wind Spiritual Master consider it first. After the crisis of my Imperial Thunder sect passes, it won't be too late for us to discuss it. Humph. Wild Heaven was about to jump up, but after hearing Thunder Tablet Reverend's words, he snorted coldly and said no more.
However, in his mind, he had already begun to consider whether he should let Qian Dihing go to the Myriad Thunder Valley after this. Sect Master. At this moment, a sharp voice suddenly rang out from the distance. A Foundation Establishment disciple of the Imperial Thunder Sect flew over with a sound transmission talisman in his hand. His face was filled with panic. Thunder Tomb Reverend scolded in a low voice, "Don't panic, speak slowly." The Foundation Establishment disciple's face reddened. After he flew closer, he took a deep breath and handed over the sound-transmitting talisman. He lowered his voice and said, Sect Master, Masters, there is a message from the patrolling disciples on the east side of the Thunder Mo mountain range. Fairy Xianhua looked at Reverend Lei Meng and asked, What is it that made you so flustered? Sect Master. The foundation building disciple hesitated for a moment before replying, The cultivators on the east side of the Thunder Mountain range have all revealed their true appearances. They're wearing the Daoist robes of the Shanghua sect, and they're approaching our Imperial Thunder sect. If I'm not mistaken, the Shanghua sect has launched a sneak attack on our Imperial Thunder sect. What? Shanghua sect? Not to mention Fairy Xianhua, even Thunder Tomb Reverend was dumbfounded. He cried out involuntarily, This information, can the patrolling disciples be sure? Yes. The Foundation Establishment disciple nodded vigorously. The East Side sent a total of 7 patrolling disciples, and they all saw it with their own eyes. Moreover, how could the patrolling disciples mistake the robes of the Shanghua sect's disciples? Damn it. Fairy Xianhua said in a low voice, I'm afraid it's the Heavenly Demon sect pretending to be the Shanghua sect's disciples. Sect Master. While they were talking, another Foundation Establishment disciple flew over rapidly from another direction. This disciple's forehead was covered in sweat, and his eyes flashed with panic. It was obvious that there was another bad news. Thunder Tomb Reverend didn't scold him again. When the disciple flew closer, he asked, Did the unknown besieging cultivators reveal their identities? The Foundation Establishment disciple looked at the previous messenger disciple and understood. He nodded and said, Yes, disciple received a message that the cultivators on the east side of the Thunder Mo mountain range have revealed their identities, damn it. Without waiting for the Foundation Establishment disciple to finish, Lei Tingzi cursed in a low voice, Sure enough, it's the Heavenly Demon sect pretending to be the Shanghua sect's disciples. Hearing Lei Tingzi's words, the Foundation Establishment disciple didn't dare to speak again. After Lei Tingzi finished speaking, he looked at the messenger disciple in front of him in surprise and said, Masters, the cultivators on the east side are wearing the Daoist robes of the Seven Skills sect. Ah? This time, Fairy Xianhua and the rest were even more surprised than when they heard about the Shanghua sect. They looked at each other, and their eyes were filled with confusion. Thunder Tomb Reverend was the first to speak. If it were sword cultivators surrounding the mountain, they might have pretended to be sword cultivators, but they wouldn't pretend to be Daoist cultivators. If it were the Heavenly Demon sect, they would only need to pretend to be one sect. There's no need to pretend to be multiple sects. Thunder Tomb Reverend shook his head and said, Disciple has a different opinion. What if the Heavenly Demon sect wants to create the illusion of being besieged by various sects and make our Imperial Thunder sect surrender without a fight? Yes, that's possible. Lei Tingzi hurriedly nodded and said, If the 3 great sects of the country of Shi besieged our Imperial Thunder sect at the same time, even this old man would be the first to retreat. Without waiting for Lei Tingzi to finish his words, another Foundation establishment disciple flew over like a madman from afar. Without waiting for him to come close, he shouted, reporting to Sect Master, a disciple from the south side of our Imperial Thunder sect has sent a message. One of the three great sects of the country of Xuanyan School, has revealed themselves and is closing in on our Mount Laymaw. Hearing this, everyone was dumbfounded. They really didn't understand the situation. Whether it was the Thunder Tomb Reverend or Lei Tingzi, what they said was just an armchair strategist. What they said was only a possibility, but they didn't expect that the three great sects of the country of Xi would really besiege the Imperial Thunder sect. Was this a disguise by the Heavenly Demon sect, or was it really an attack by the three sects? Thinking of this, everyone looked at the north side of the Mount Laymaw at the same time. Until now, that was the only place that hadn't received any news from the patrolling disciples. They didn't have to wait for too long. In the time it took to eat a meal, another Foundation establishment disciple rushed back on the flying boat at lightning speed, shouting, reporting to Sect Master, something bad has happened. However, to the disciple's surprise, when he flew closer, jumped off the flying boat, and flew to the front of Fairy Xianhua and the others, no matter if it was Fairy Xianhua or Thunder Tomb Reverend, there was no change in their expressions. Even their eyelashes didn't move in the slightest. Damn it! The disciple couldn't help but feel ashamed of his panic. He thought to himself, only the nascent soul masters can keep their composure. I still have to cultivate more. Since the nascent soul masters didn't panic, the Foundation establishment disciple's heart instantly calmed down. He landed in front of Fairy Xianhua and bowed. A patrolling disciple from the north side of the Imperial Thunder sect has sent an urgent battle report. The cultivators who besieged our Imperial Thunder sect have revealed their identities. They are disciples of the Huanhua sect. They have formed a team and are pressing towards our Mount Laymaw. Currently, the number of Huanhua sect disciples is unknown. Everyone was silent. The entire sect seemed to be imprisoned by a great calamity. An indescribable aura shrouded the space. It was as if countless large hands were strangling everyone's throats, making them unable to breathe. At the same time, the oppressive aura was like a large hand gripping the entire Mount Laymaw. The last disciple who sent the message was somewhat surprised. He looked at Fairy Xianhua's numb expression and suddenly turned to look at the other three disciples who sent the message and exclaimed, "Senior Marshal Brother, could it be that the other three aren't disciples of the Huanhua sect?" The Foundation establishment disciple who sent the message first looked at Fairy Xianhua and the others with sorrow in his eyes. He said, "Our Imperial Thunder sect is now besieged by the top 4 Dao cultivation sects in the country of Xi, top 4. The last disciple who sent the message swayed and almost fell from the sky. When he steadied himself, he exclaimed, "Splendid sect, Xuanyan School, Chiqiao sect, and Huanhua sect sent their disciples to besiege our Imperial Thunder sect? How is this possible?" Fairy Xianhua took a deep breath and looked at the Imperial Thunder sect disciples on her left and right. She said word by word, "This is the truth. If Heavenly Demon sect didn't pretend to be besieged by the 4 sects to intimidate us, then the 4 sects would have already joined forces with us. That means the 4 sects have long since joined forces to divide up the foundation of our Imperial Thunder sect. No wonder we didn't know anything about enemy cultivators surrounding the mountain." Daoist Swift Wind's eyes turned and said, "Honorable Sect Master, even if the disciples of the 4 sects really besieged our Imperial Thunder sect, I'm afraid they aren't the elites of the 4 sects." "Oh. Why?" Fairy Xianhua asked, puzzled. "It's very simple." Daoist Swift Wind replied, "If they were the elites of the 4 sects, they wouldn't have concealed themselves and wouldn't have waited for 2 days. With the strength of our Imperial Thunder sect, not to mention the 4 sects, even if one sect attacked with all their strength, our Imperial Thunder sect would be doomed. At this point, it's useless to say more." Fairy Xianhua sneered, the 4 sects have already besieged the mountain. There's no need to speculate anymore. If you want to fight, let's fight over there. Hearing Fairy Xianhua's powerful words, Daoist Thunder Meng nodded solemnly and said, Honorable Sect Master is right. I agree. Since we've already shed all pretense of cordiality, who cares if they are the Heavenly Demon Sect or the 4 great sects of the country of Shi? Daoist Swift Wind wanted to say something, but when he saw Fairy Xianhua's unexpected proposal, he quickly shut his mouth and looked at Lei Tingzi and the others. Lei Tingzi was also a cultivator who had experienced the war between immortals and demons. He looked into the distance and said, Imperial Thunder Sect was defeated in the War of Sword Dao several hundred years ago. Since then, the sect's strength has declined again and again. Now, it can't be compared with Huanhua Sect. They must have seen the advantage and sent out their troops. Honorable Sect Master, I request to go and meet the splendid sect. I want to let them know that although our Imperial Thunder Sect has declined, we still have the heart to fight and the spirit to win. If they dare to come to our Mount Lemo, we'll definitely make them return in defeat. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, collect it, reward it. Chapter 5141. Approved. Fairy Xianhua didn't hesitate at all. She took out a command arrow and threw it to Lei Tingzi. Lei Tingzi caught the command arrow and roared, Disciples of Sun Thunder Palace and Converted Thunder Palace, where are you? Here. The nascent soul disciples of Sun Thunder Palace and Converted Thunder Palace shouted in unison. Lei Tingzi was full of heroism as he shouted, Follow this old man to annihilate splendid sect. Yes. Another deafening voice rang out. The nascent soul disciples of 2 Thunder Palaces followed Lei Tingzi and flew away. Soon after, they led the other disciples of 2 Thunder Palaces into battle, preparing to leave the sect-protecting Grand Formation to meet the splendid sect disciples head-on. Seeing that Lei Tingzi was about to cut off all means of retreat, Thunder Meng Daoist led Thunder Palace and Thunder Palace to prepare as well. Zhishuanzi led Thunder Palace and Xing Yunzi led Thunder Palace to prepare as well. Not daring to be negligent, Swift Wind Daoist stepped forward and bowed, Honorable Sect Master, this disciple is willing to lead the disciples of Heavenly Thunder Palace and Earth Thunder Palace to meet the 7 Possibilities Sect. This disciple guarantees that, if the 7 Possibilities Sect cultivators want to approach Imperial Thunder Sect, they will have to step over this disciple's corpse. Good. Fairy Xianhua was very happy. She took out a command arrow and handed it to Swift Wind Daoist, saying, This seat now orders you to take charge of Heavenly Thunder Palace. As the Palace Master of Heavenly Thunder Palace, you will meet the 7 Possibilities Sect cultivators head-on. Thank you, Honorable Sect Master. Swift Wind Daoist took the command arrow and turned his head, saying, Disciples, heed my command. At this moment, a divine sense as fine as rain and as vast as a river descended from the distant sky. A slightly surprised and dignified voice rang out like a clap of thunder, What's going on? Are the 4 great sects besieging Imperial Thunder Sect? The appearance of this voice was extremely strange. The people of Imperial Thunder Sect were completely unprepared. Even though they were separated by the Grand Formation, they felt as if the voice was right next to their ears. Who? Fairy Xianhua frowned and looked at the sky outside the array. In just a moment, several rays of light arrived and stopped before the gate of the Imperial Thunder Sect. The person in front was around 40 years old and looked very dignified. He gave off an indescribable temperament that was like the sun. This temperament wasn't a spell, but it made people feel close to him as if he was their only friend. However, this cultivator was frowning as he looked around the Imperial Thunder Sect. His eyes were filled with wisdom as if they could pierce through the space and see the disciples of the 4 countries surrounding the Imperial Thunder sect. There were 3 people standing behind this cultivator. The cultivator in the middle had a tall stature and wore a brocade robe. Wasn't he the handsome Dupeng? On Dupeng's left was another cultivator with a similar figure to him. This cultivator was very young, had a white face, and looked incomparably handsome. Wasn't he the previous sect master of the magnificent flower sect, Sun Yunzi? Compared to these 2 people, the cultivator on Dupeng's right was not worth mentioning. This cultivator was an old man with a gold core cultivation base. His face was full of wrinkles and his eyes were filled with respect. He intentionally stayed behind the 2 people and seemed to be a little afraid. Fairy Xianhua didn't recognize the 3 people, but when she saw Sun Yunzi, her eyes couldn't help but burn with anger. She hurriedly looked into the depths of the Thunder Mountain range. Unfortunately, not only did Master Lei Ting and the others disappear, but Wu Qing and the other 2 also didn't return. When the 4 cultivators appeared, an indescribable pressure was emitted from the person in front. It seeped into the Imperial Thunder sect's array like a fragrance. Whether it was Fairy Xianhua, Fairy Yao Feng, Thunder Meng Daoist, Lei Ting, or the others who were preparing to lead the troops, they were all affected by this aura. They all stopped in place and seemed to have realized something. They silently looked at this cultivator whose cultivation base couldn't be seen and waited for him to speak. Alas, why bother? The cultivator sighed and withdrew his gaze. He lowered his head and looked at Fairy Xianhua inside the sect's array. He spoke with compassion. Are you the sect master of the Imperial Thunder sect, Fairy Xianhua? Fairy Xianhua didn't dare to be negligent. She hurriedly bowed and said, Junior is indeed Xianhua. May I know who Senior is? This old man is Luo Xingtian. The cultivator faintly replied, I'm now the deputy leader of the Immortal Alliance of the Dawn Rain Continent. As soon as Luo Xingtian said this, although Fairy Xianhua and the others were already prepared, when they saw a senior with such a cultivation level, they were shocked and hurriedly bowed. Junior and the others greet Vice Alliance leader Luo. Hee, no need to be polite. Luo Xingtian smiled and raised his hand. Everyone, please rise. Unfortunately, Fairy Xianhua didn't rise. Instead, she bowed again and said, Junior has long heard of Senior's name. Unfortunately, Junior didn't participate in the War of the Immortals and Demons. Today, seeing Senior, I thank Senior on behalf of my Imperial Thunder sect. Luo Xingtian naturally understood the meaning behind Fairy Xianhua's words, but he didn't point it out. He just went with the flow and said, that's what this old man should do as the deputy leader of the Immortal Alliance. There's no need to thank me. Senior is too polite. Fairy Xianhua and the others got up and flew closer. Then, they respectfully said, Senior has done a lot for our Dawn Rain continent. It's only right for us to thank you. Since Senior has come to our Imperial Thunder sect, Junior should have opened the gate and invited Senior to enter our Imperial Thunder sect. We should have invited Senior to Lightning Peak's Lightning Thunder Hole. However, Senior should have seen that the 4 great sects of the state of Shi disregarded justice and suddenly besieged our Imperial Thunder sect. Junior really didn't dare to be negligent in the slightest. Junior didn't dare to open the sect protecting formation. Luo Xingtian smiled and waved his hand. It's fine. This old man didn't specially come to the Imperial Thunder sect. I just happened to pass by and received a message from a disciple of the Immortal Alliance. This old man was a little curious after reading the message, so I came to take a look. However, who would have thought that I would encounter Du He, Sun Yunzi, and Li Feng on the way? They didn't say anything about the Imperial Thunder sect, but... At this point, Luo Xingtian stopped smiling and looked at Sun Yunzi. This old man seems to have understood something. reporting to the deputy leader. Sun Yunzi hurriedly bowed and said, "This matter has nothing to do with I just received a message from my son and wanted to seek justice for him. Everything that you saw was also beyond I's expectations." Oh. Luo Xingtian stared blankly and looked at Du He. Du He, could it be that this was your doing? When Du He heard this, his expression changed greatly. He hurriedly bowed and said, "Lord Alliance Leader, you've misunderstood this disciple. This disciple just came to the Dawn Rain continent. How could I possibly have such an influence? This disciple only came to confirm something nearby. How could it cause such a huge uproar?" Seeing the two spirits severing cultivators shirking their responsibilities, Luo Xingtian's gaze fell on the golden core cultivator and asked, "Li Feng, could it be that this was your doing?" When Li Feng heard this, he knelt on the ground and kowtowed. "Lord Alliance Leader, this little one is only a golden core disciple. How could I have such strength? This disciple was bullied to this extent by the Imperial Thunder sect and didn't even dare to say a word. How could this disciple invite so many disciples?" Luo Xingtian frowned and asked, "You didn't invite those Shanghua sect disciples?" Li Feng shook his head like a rattle drum and said, "Lord Alliance Leader is wise. This disciple didn't see any Shanghua sect disciples at all." Fairy Xianhua looked at the unfamiliar Li Feng. When Li Feng finished speaking, she hurriedly said, "Lord Alliance Leader, who is this Li Feng? How did my Imperial Thunder sect bully him?" "Humph." Before Li Feng could speak, Sun Yunzi sneered and said, "Fairy Xianhua, don't you know what your Imperial Thunder sect has done? Normally, this old man doesn't care about the Shanghua sect and even the matters of the younger generation. However, after hearing Li Fengji's words, this old man is still filled with righteous indignation. Your Imperial Thunder sect relies on the fact that you're a famous sect and actually encroaches on the territory of a small sect. If this matter is revealed, won't others laugh their teeth off?" Fairy Xianhua suddenly realized and exclaimed, He's the sect master of the barking sect." Sun Yunzi had a mocking expression. "It seems so. You occupied their territory and didn't even recognize their sect master. The Imperial Thunder sect is really shameless. You. Fairy Xianhua was so angry that her face turned purple. However, before Fairy Xianhua finished speaking, Sun Yunzi bowed to Luo Xingtian and said, "Vice Alliance Leader Luo, when Lord asked me why I was waiting for you, Junior didn't have the nerve to explain. In fact, my son has already appealed to the Immortal Alliance's adjudication hall. It seems that the arbitration order has already been issued. Li Feng is afraid that the Imperial Thunder sect won't put the Immortal Alliance's adjudication hall in their eyes and won't execute the arbitration order, so Junior came forward to support him." Arbitration order. When Luo Xingtian heard this, a strange expression appeared on his face. He looked at Li Feng and then at Fairy Xianhua and said, "This old man doesn't know what arbitration order it is, but this old man received a message saying that two special envoys from the Immortal Alliance's adjudication hall came to the Imperial Thunder sect to deliver the arbitration order. There has been no news of them since then, and it's unknown whether they are dead or alive. So this old man came to take a look. Could it be that everything has come together? How is that possible?" Fairy Xianhua hurriedly said, "Lord Alliance Leader, the two special envoys from the Immortal Alliance's adjudication hall, Xan Yang and Yi Shuaihui, left the Imperial Thunder sect 2 days ago." "Oh? Is that so?" Luo Xingtian was a little surprised and asked curiously, "Since they left 2 days ago, how could there be no news of them?" Sun Yunzi smiled and said, "Lord Alliance Leader, you are really kind. Could it be that you didn't think about it? Would the Imperial Thunder sect kill them to silence them and not admit that they received the arbitration order? How is that possible?" Luo Xingtian smiled and said, "Didn't they just say it? They saw the two special envoys from the Immortal Alliance. Since they saw them, they naturally received the arbitration order. Lord Alliance Leader, you will definitely uphold justice for this little one. Li Feng didn't get up and kowtow at this time. This little one worked hard to establish the barbarian sect. I thought that by being close to the Imperial Thunder sect I would be able to lean on a big tree and enjoy the shade. Who knew that they would ignore this little one's hardships and take away a few hills in this little one's sect? P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please go to Qidian to subscribe to support, vote for a monthly vote, vote for a recommendation vote, bookmark, reward, and thank you for all forms of support. Chapter 51-42. Luo Xingtian waved his hand and said with a smile, "You're talking nonsense. Since it's a hill, how could it be taken away so easily? It's not like it's some secret technique. How is it not possible?" Li Feng gritted his teeth and said as if he was cutting off all means of retreat, "Those hills were originally favored by this little one and I spent more than 10 years on them. However, the Imperial Thunder sect felt that the hills were a threat to them and insisted that the hills belonged to them. They forcibly expanded their formation to protect the hills." Hearing Li Feng's sad story, Luo Xingtian frowned and looked at Fairy Xianhua with displeasure. "If that's the case, then it's your Imperial Thunder sect's fault. Isn't it just a few hills? How could it affect the sect-protecting formation? It doesn't matter if it's occupied by small sections. Even the secular people know to give way to neighbors. Imperial Thunder sect is such a big cultivation sect. How could they be so stingy?" Hearing Li Feng distorting the truth, Fairy Xianhua was already furious. When Luo Xingtian finished speaking, she hurriedly argued, "Lord Alliance Master, it's absolutely not like what Li Feng said. The hills he mentioned are the peaks of my Imperial Thunder sect-protecting Grand Array. My Imperial Thunder sect's array has long been set up on them. How could they be the hills he mentioned? Alliance Master, please judge clearly." "So it's like this." Luo Xingtian muttered and raised his hand, "Show Buddha the arbitration order of the Judgment Hall." This Taoist Swift Wind was dumbfounded. His face flushed red and he hurriedly flew over from afar and said respectfully, "It's all this junior's fault." "Oh. Who are you? What did you do wrong?" Luo Xingtian was confused and asked curiously. Taoist Swift Wind hurriedly replied, "Junior. Junior was really angry just now. I destroyed the arbitration order." Luo Xingtian snorted. Although there was no special expression on his face, anyone could see the displeasure in his eyes. Luo Xingtian calmly said, "Destroying the arbitration order is not a big crime. It just represents the Imperial Thunder sect's contempt for the Immortal Alliance's ruling and does not intend to accept the Immortal Alliance's ruling. The Imperial Thunder sect will bear all the consequences. The Immortal Alliance will support the Barbarian sect's request." Taoist Swift Wind was helpless and apologized to Fairy Xianhua, "Sect Master, this is my fault, there's no need." Fairy Xianhua sneered and waved her hand. "What crime have you committed? My Imperial Thunder sect has no intention of accepting the arbitration order. It makes no difference whether it's destroyed or not. Since the head of the Imperial Thunder sect has said so, this old man will not explore this so-called hill." Luo Xingtian nodded. "The specific matters will naturally be handled by the Immortal Alliance's Hall of Judgment. This old man will only ask about the two special envoys whose fate is unknown." Taoist Jifeng hurriedly replied, "As you know, Alliance Master, the two special envoys have left the Imperial Thunder sect long ago. If they haven't returned, you might as well ask the disciples of the four sects who have besieged my Imperial Thunder sect." At this point, everyone knew that the ones besieging the Imperial Thunder sect were definitely not the four sects' disciples that the Heavenly Demon sect had pretended to be. That's true. Luo Xingtian nodded. The four great sects of the country of Shi made such a big commotion. This old man is also puzzled. Why would they suddenly attack the Imperial Thunder sect? Luo Xingtian then said to Sun Yunzi, go and call the leaders of the four sects over. This old man will ask them what's going on. Yes, this junior obeys. Sun Yunzi replied and disappeared in a flash. It was just a matter of a meal. Four nascent soul cultivators flew over with Sun Yunzi. When Fairy Xianhua and the others saw the appearance of these people, their noses became crooked from anger. Wasn't that withered old man Qi Jianghai of the Magnificent Flower sect? Wasn't that old man Daoist Master Withered Leaf of the Seven Skills sect? As for the other two beautiful and charming women, weren't they Fairy Poyu of the Xuanyan school and Fairy Bihua of the Washing Flower sect? The four of them were all nascent soul cultivators who were familiar with the Imperial Thunder sect. Who would have thought that they would suddenly reveal a vicious expression and want to carve up the Imperial Thunder sect's property? Fellow Taoists. Fairy Xianhua said sarcastically. I haven't seen you for a long time. I didn't expect that you would all come here today knowing that I miss you. Humph. Magnificent Flower sect's Qi Jianghai snorted. Fairy Xianhua, don't try to curry favor with me. This old man was really blind before. I didn't think that your Imperial Thunder sect would be so despicable that you would even bully a small sect like the Barking sect. Today, for the justice of the heavenly Tao, for the justice of our country of Shi's cultivation sects, this old man has brought his disciples here. If we can't uphold justice, we'd rather fight. Good heavens. Thunder Meng Daoist sneered. You speak in such a dignified manner. You're just coveting my Mount Lemo. What nonsense is this about justice? Seven Skills sect's Daoist Master Withered Leaf laughed. He pointed at Thunder Meng Daoist and said, Lei Meng, I've always respected you, but I didn't expect that you would also bully the weak. Before Li Feng brought this matter to the Immortal Alliance's Hall of Judgment, we already knew about it. However, we're only cultivators from the country of Shi. We don't have the authority to govern the Imperial Thunder sect, so we paid close attention to this matter. When we heard that the Immortal Alliance's Hall of Judgment had decided to arbitrate, we all clapped our hands in satisfaction. However, the Barking sect is weak and the Immortal Alliance's Lord Alliance is kind and benevolent. We were afraid that the Imperial Thunder sect would be thick-skinned and refuse to accept the arbiter, so your sect master let you lead the Seven Skills sect's disciples here? Daoist Master Swift Wind asked with a cold smile. Seven Skills sect's Daoist Master Withered Leaf smiled and replied, You're wrong. These Seven Skills sect's disciples came of their own accord. They didn't come out of the sect master's will. Everything that happened here has nothing to do with my Seven Skills sect. We came for the sake of justice. Fairy Xianhua's face turned ashen. She glanced at the Xuanyan school's Fairy Poyu and the Huanhua sect's Fairy Baihua and asked, You naturally came for the sake of justice. You didn't come under the orders of your sect master. That's right. The two female cultivators nodded. Your Imperial Thunder sect's current actions have already provoked public anger. If you don't restrain yourselves, I'm afraid there really will be a war. Fairy Xianhua wanted to argue, but when she saw the four nascent soul cultivators and Sun Yunzi's cold expression, she sighed. How could she not know that this matter had already been discussed by the four sects? They had only used Li Feng's Barking sect as a bait and then waited for them to do the evil deed of destroying the Imperial Thunder sect. When she thought of this, Fairy Xianhua hastily looked at Luo Xingtian, pondering how to convince the Immortal Alliance's Vice Alliance Master of the Imperial Thunder sect's innocence. Unfortunately, Luo Xingtian didn't listen to the four nascent soul cultivators. When Fairy Xianhua finished speaking, he immediately asked, This old man wants to ask you, did you see the two special envoys of my Immortal Alliance's Judgment Hall? The four looked at each other and shook their heads. Reporting to Lord Alliance Master, when Senior Sun Yunzi came to inquire, he already mentioned this matter. We also asked the disciples before we left. They only saw the two special envoys fly into the Imperial Thunder sect and didn't see them fly out. Inverting black and white. Fairy Xianhua gnashed her teeth and spat out these words. She didn't argue anymore. Fairy Xianhua. Luo Xingtian said sternly, did you hear that? This junior heard it. Fairy Xianhua's body felt weak and her voice trembled. They have already lost their conscience. How can their words be taken seriously? Since you feel that the Imperial Thunder sect is wrongly accused, then, what evidence do you have? What reason do you have for this old man to believe your Imperial Thunder sect? Luo Xingtian asked indifferently. At this moment, Daoist Swift Wind hurriedly said, Lord Alliance Master, you are the Vice Alliance Master of the Immortal Alliance.
This junior has a presumptuous request that I hope Lord Alliance Master will consider, and speak. Luo Xingtian nodded. The whereabouts of the two special envoys of the Immortal Alliance's Judgment Hall are important. Daoist Swift Wind said respectfully, but in the end, it's just 2 lives. Now that the 4 great sects of the state of Shi have besieged my Mount Lema, my Imperial Thunder sect has already sent out a battle team to prepare for battle. After the great battle of Dao and Sword, there have been many battles between sects, but today's imminent battle is rare. In this battle, the number of casualties won't be in the hundreds, but in the thousands or tens of thousands. Senior, as the Vice Alliance Master of the Immortal Alliance, you can't ignore these lives. This. Luo Xingtian seemed to be in a difficult position. However, he looked at the crowd and then at the Imperial Thunder sect disciples guarding the edge of the array. He nodded and said, in that case, this old man will make a temporary ruling. Sect Master of the Imperial Thunder sect, first remove the undecided hills from your array. These hills will be temporarily managed by the Immortal Alliance. You all should also appeal to the Judgment Hall of the Immortal Alliance about this matter. This old man will also issue an Alliance Master's order to the Judgment Hall and have them investigate carefully to find out the truth. What do you think? Fairy Xianhua argued, the problem is that these mountains have been set up with arrays. Removing the arrays will affect the power of my Imperial Thunder sect protecting Grand Array. This junior feels that it's inappropriate. Luo Xingtian ignored Fairy Xianhua's argument. He turned to Sun Yunzi and the others and said, as for you all, if you believe in this old man and the Judgment Hall of the Immortal Alliance, you might as well return today. You are all sects of the state of Shi and should support each other. You shouldn't go to war at the slightest provocation. This. Sun Yunzi lowered his head and thought for a moment. He nodded and said, since this junior is fated to meet Lord Alliance Master and the Imperial Thunder sect has the intention to correct their mistakes, then this junior will definitely not disappoint Lord Alliance Master. After the Imperial Thunder sect removes the mountain-protecting Grand Array, this junior will definitely persuade the 4 great sects of the state of Shi to leave. What do you all think? Luo Xingtian was very satisfied and looked at Qi Jianghai and the others. Qi Jianghai smiled and said, we came for justice, fairness, and justice. As long as the Imperial Thunder sect no longer bullies the Barking sect, we naturally won't make things difficult for the Imperial Thunder sect. I'll wait for the Imperial Thunder sect to return those hills to the Barking sect.
Then, we'll leave immediately. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please go to Qidian to subscribe to support, vote for a monthly vote, vote for a recommendation vote, bookmark, reward, and thank all forms of support. Chapter 51-43. Good. Luo Xingtian clapped his hands and said, seeing that everyone is so righteous, this old man is very gratified. The country of Shi has the 4 great sects who are fair, just and righteous in your hearts, so why worry about the country of Shi not prospering? Even if the sword cultivators are rampant, even if the heavenly demon sect is arrogant, so what? After Luo Xingtian sighed, he turned to Fairy Xianhua and said with a smile, Imperial Thunder Sect Master, have you heard? Now it's time for you to choose, whether you want peace or war, it's all up to you. Fairy Xianhua's mouth was bitter and full of grievances. She wanted to argue, but facing the Immortal Alliance and the four great sects of Shi that the Imperial Thunder Sect could not defeat, what could she say? All of his schemes had been exposed under the sun, but the sun was so cold that it did not warm his heart. Similarly, Fairy Xianhua hesitated again. If Luo Xingtian, the deputy leader of the Immortal Alliance, had not appeared, the Imperial Thunder Sect had no other way out and could only fight to the death with the four great sects of Shi, then Fairy Xianhua would not hesitate at all and would only say, war. But now, with Luo Xingtian's appearance, the Imperial Thunder Sect miraculously had a chance to survive. Anyone facing this chance would inevitably have some other thoughts. Once this thought came to mind, Fairy Xianhua's thoughts of war inevitably began to extinguish. Seeing Fairy Xianhua hesitate, Luo Xingtian was somewhat displeased and said with a frown, Fairy Xianhua, you are the leader of a sect, how can you be so indecisive? No wonder the Imperial Thunder Sect has declined so much in the past 1,000 years. Seeing this, Sage Jifeng hurriedly bowed and said, Lord Alliance Master, this matter is of great importance, my Imperial Thunder Sect needs to discuss, this old man has no time. Luo Xingtian flatly refused, quickly end this matter, this old man still wants to ask about the whereabouts of the two special envoys of the Immortal Alliance. Sage Jifeng also hesitated for a moment, looked at the disciples of the Heavenly Thunder Palace and said to Fairy Xianhua, Lord Alliance Master, this disciple feels that, rather than enduring humiliation, why don't we fight? Hearing this, Sage Lei Meng's eyes lit up. He looked at Sage Jifeng and said, Jifeng, I was quite dissatisfied with you before, thinking that you were too scheming, but now I am convinced by your words. Fight! This. Fairy Yao Feng hesitated for a moment before saying, I think that there is no need for this battle. It's just a few of the southernmost peaks of my Lei Mo mountain range. Although it's within my sect protecting formation, it's also dispensable. Even if I give it to them, what can they do with it? Hearing Fairy Yao Feng's words, Zhishuanzi also flew back. He said, I also agree with Fairy Yao Feng's opinion. However, a few mountains are useless. Since Barbarian Sect needs it, we'll just give it to them. This will also show the magnanimity of our Imperial Thunder Sect. After that, Lei Tingzi and the others also expressed their opinions. Although most of them were willing to fight, after all, there was someone in charge. All of a sudden, the high morale of the Imperial Thunder Sect's disciples was suppressed. Fight! At this moment, lightning flashed in the depths of the Raymore Mountains in the distance, and a few indignant voices sounded in unison, you are being bullied right in front of your eyes, and you still want to compromise. Today, they can force us to give up a few mountains. Tomorrow, they can cut off our Raymore Mountains. Every month, we give in, and every year, we compromise. How can our Imperial Thunder Sect stand? Everyone was overjoyed and hurriedly looked over. Unfortunately, when they saw that it was only Wu Qing, Xiang Zhili, and Cui Yingying who flew back, they couldn't help but feel extremely disappointed. Fairy Xianhua hurriedly transmitted her voice, Wu Qing, where are the three elders? The three elders don't have much lifespan left. They said that we can't place our hopes on them. Everything depends on the sect master. Wu Qing replied indifferently, as for why they didn't come out, the sect master will know in a while. Is this the three elders' suggestion? Fairy Xianhua didn't give up and continued to ask. Xiang Zhili looked at Fairy Xianhua, raised his hand, and patted his chest. He said word by word, this is what I, an ordinary Imperial Thunder Sect disciple, said. Similarly, this is what I shouted from the bottom of my heart. When has our Imperial Thunder sect been bullied in front of our door? As disciples of the Imperial Thunder sect, we can duel, quarrel, and curse, but we can't tolerate being bullied by others. Death isn't scary. We'd rather die in battle on the Thunder Mountain Range and let our blood water the land that gave birth to us. What's scary is living an ignoble life, living under the oppression of others. Fight. Wu Qin didn't say anything else and only said one word. Fight. 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 There was no lack of hot-blooded disciples in the Imperial Thunder sect. Nearby nascent soul cultivators, golden core cultivators, and even chi refining disciples all raised their hands and shouted. Fairy Xian Hua's face turned bright red. She looked around and said, "This seat has only been in charge of the Imperial Thunder sect for 100 years. During this time, there have been many mistakes. Others have said that this seat is indecisive, that this seat is ambitious and unrealistic. This seat also doesn't want to explain. This seat's heart is the heart of the Imperial Thunder sect. I am a member of the Imperial Thunder sect, and even if I die, I will also be a ghost of the Imperial Thunder sect. Since you want to fight, then let's fight." Disciples. Unfortunately, before Fairy Xianhua could finish speaking, Luo Xingtian coldly said, "Xianhua, have you decided? Do you want to fight?" Fairy Xianhua's eyes flashed with unswerving determination as she replied word by word, "That's right. My Imperial Thunder sect will stand and die. We will absolutely not bend our backs, and steal to live." Disciples. This time, Fairy Xianhua had learned her lesson. As soon as she finished speaking, she immediately raised a token and shouted, "Listen to my command. Set up defenses outside the formation and prepare to kill the enemy." Yes. Reverend Lei Meng and the others held their command arrows and responded in unison, directing their disciples to pass through the formation in an orderly manner. After Fairy Xianhua gave the command, she was also nervous. With Luo Xingtian, a great expert of unknown realm, beside her, she was really afraid that Luo Xingtian would disregard his status and attack. Fortunately, Luo Xingtian only watched and didn't show any signs of attacking. Even Sun Yunzi, Qi Jianghai, and the others didn't move a single finger. Fairy Xianhua could understand why Luo Xingtian and Sun Yunzi didn't move. However, Fairy Xianhua didn't understand why Qi Jianghai, Reverend Kuyi, and the others didn't move. Seeing that the Imperial Thunder sect's disciples had already formed a team outside the formation, Fairy Xianhua's heart suddenly quivered as if she had thought of something. She shouted, "Disciples!" Unfortunately, Fairy Xianhua's consciousness was still gone. Just as she finished speaking, a voice shouted, "Sect Master, disciple has something to ask." Fairy Xianhua raised her head and saw an old man flying out from the team. This old man had grizzled hair, a short and stout figure, and two triangular eyes faintly flashing with a trace of light. Wasn't this Shenyu of Thousand Thunder Mountain? Shenyu was now at the late gold core stage. Although his eyes were still flashing with light, there was a lot of turbidity behind that light, as if his heart was blinded by greed. "Shenyu." Fairy Xianhua thought for a moment and asked, "The war is about to begin. What do you have to say?" Reporting to Sect Master. Shenyu bowed and said, "Junior wants to ask, is the southernmost part of the Imperial Thunder sect that isn't connected to the Leimo mountain range more important, or is the lives of my Imperial Thunder sect's disciples more important?" Damn it! Fairy Xianhua cursed inwardly. She knew that something she didn't want to see had happened. Her gaze was like lightning as she glanced at Sun Yunzi. Sure enough, Sun Yunzi had a sneer on his face, as if he was taking pleasure in her misfortune. Is there still a need for Sect Master to answer this? Daoist Swift Wind berated, who came first, you or the Imperial Thunder sect? Without the Imperial Thunder Sect, would there still be you? Senior, are you the Palace Master of the Heavenly Thunder Palace or the Sect Master of the Imperial Thunder Sect? Jinyu glanced at Daoist Swift Wind and asked indifferently, who do your words represent? You. Daoist Swift Wind was somewhat at a loss for words. After all, he wasn't in a proper position right now. Fairy Xianhua said calmly, Daoist Swift Wind's words represent this seat and the Imperial Thunder Sect. Even if this seat were to answer, it would still be the same. Sect Master. Jinyu said coldly, everything has been said by you to Daoist Swift Wind. The sky is about to be filled with heavenly flowers. It's a pity that not everyone will be deceived by your words and bewitched by Swift Wind Immortal's words. For your power and your future, you can turn black into white and white into black. You can also make us fight against the powerful and invincible for great sects for your desires. But have you ever thought that our lives are our own? You have no right to decide for us. Have you ever thought that if those mountain peaks are gone, you can occupy them again in the future? But if we lose our lives, we'll really be gone. Without us, what's the point of occupying those mountain peaks? Without us, will the Imperial Thunder Sect still be the Imperial Thunder Sect? For a few meaningless mountain peaks, you're prepared to easily throw away our lives. Do you have the Imperial Thunder Sect in your heart? Are you really the sect master of my Imperial Thunder Sect? Fairy Xianhua was originally a proud and arrogant person. In the past few days, she had been repeatedly humiliated. Every time, she would forcefully suppress her anger. Until now, she had even gambled her position as sect master for Imperial Thunder Sect. However, in the mouth of Jinyu and the others, she was actually so unbearable. Of course, Fairy Xianhua knew that this was Sun Yunzi's trick, but she still couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Sect Master. Daoist Swift Wind hurriedly called out, this guy's mouth is full of shit. Sect Master, we're also not convinced. Before Daoist Swift Wind finished speaking, a nascent soul cultivator flew out from the battle team and shouted, we also don't want to lose our lives for a few bare mountain peaks. Damn it! Daoist Thunder Meng was furious. He could see that this nascent soul cultivator was Jin Xiaoyang, the palace master of the 100 Refinements Hall of the Thunderous Palace. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, give it as a reward, and... Chapter 51-44. Although Jinyu was a disciple of the Thousand Lightning Mountain, he was still a gold core cultivator. His lifespan was nearing its end, so it was normal for him to be afraid of battle. However, Jin Xiaoyang had just entered the nascent soul realm, so how could she be afraid of battle? Moreover, both of them were disciples of the Thunder Palace, so how could Thunder Meng Daoist keep his face? He couldn't help but roar, damn it, are you all rebelling? That's right, if the sect master doesn't withdraw his order, we might as well rebel against the thunder-controlling sect. Jin Xiaoyang didn't need to answer, as many gold core, foundation establishment, and even nascent soul disciples flew out from the formation and shouted. Fairy Xianhua spat out a mouthful of blood, but her chest felt slightly better. Her eyes flashed with a resolute expression that said she would rather die in glory than live in dishonor. She loudly shouted, very well. Since this is the case, disciples, I will give you the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. If anyone is willing to leave the Imperial Thunder School, leave now. That's right. Sun Yunzi roared with laughter when he heard this, and then he raised his voice and said, my son's barbarian sect is recruiting disciples, so all of you are definitely on the same level as the Hall Master. Moreover, with the Alliance Master of the Immortal Alliance here, even the Lightning Control sect wouldn't dare make things difficult for all of you. This old man is willing. Jinyu flew out following Sun Yunzi's voice. Behind him, most of the disciples of the 1,000 Lightning Mountain flew out, followed by the disciples of the 100 Refining Palace. Even the disciples of the Thunder Palace's Swallow Thunder Ridge all flew behind Li Feng. Looking at Thunder Meng Daoist, his face was also flushed red. If not for Fairy Xianhua's example, he would also spit out blood. In just half an incense stick's time, 30% of the disciples had left. Not to mention that the offensive formation couldn't be assembled, even the defensive formation had many flaws. Fortunately, perhaps because Luo Xingtian was here, or because they had absolute confidence, Qi Jianghai and the others only stood in the air and watched carefully. They didn't take action, nor did they command the disciples of the four sects to attack. Seeing that the defensive formation couldn't be formed, Fairy Xianhua's heart was filled with sorrow. She said, "Disciples, enter the sect's defensive formation." All of the disciples had already experienced Fairy Xianhua's sorrow. Their eyes were filled with tears as they watched their fellow comrades leave. They really didn't understand just what had happened to all those lofty words and lofty aspirations that they had spoken just now. However, they knew that the Imperial Lightning sect was in their hearts. With this foundation, they were no longer fence-sitters. They were people with a foundation. Perhaps their heads could be cut off and their blood could flow, but their roots were still in the thunder-controlling sect's Mount Leymah. Fairy Xianhua's order had just landed when in the distant horizon, faint rumbling sounds of thunder could be heard. Lightning escape technique. Fairy Xianhua was overjoyed and quickly looked over with a smile on her face. She saw that in the distance, lightning was like a dragonfly skimming the surface of a pond. It rippled and an old cultivator with a simple appearance appeared. Thunderclap Master. Fairy Xianhua groaned in a low voice. She was just about to speak when her heart shook, and she didn't move at all. She ordered, "Disciples, speed up." Yes. The disciples of the Imperial Thunder sect who held fast to their beliefs didn't dare to be slow. They sped up and entered the Imperial Thunder sect's protective formation. Sun Yunzi was the same as before. His expression was the same as before. It was as if Thunderclap Master hadn't appeared. Rumble. Before Guru Lei Ting could land, thunder rumbled in the sky to the west. Another thin old man arrived on thunder. His face was covered in wrinkles, and they looked like weeds growing on a mountain. Master Genyuan. Fairy Xianhua covered her mouth in surprise. She was ecstatic. Soul formation cultivators had appeared one after another in this death zone. The two soul formation cultivators of the Imperial Thunder sect had powerful lightning escape techniques. In the blink of an eye, they arrived before everyone. Aside from the nascent soul cultivators who were standing respectfully, the other disciples entered the formation in an orderly manner. Junior Xianhua greets Thunderclap Master and Master Genyuan. Fairy Xianhua didn't hesitate and knelt in the air. She humbly said, "Disciple is incompetent and has brought the Imperial Thunder sect into a desperate situation. Seniors, please punish me." Who would have thought that both Thunderclap Master and Master Genyuan would ignore her and instead look at the starfall sky? However, they didn't say anything as if they were waiting for something. Starfall Sky had a smile on his face as if he was facing two ants. He also didn't say anything as if he was waiting for something. After the meal, the disciples of the Imperial Thunder sect all hid in the array. In the distance, there was a rumbling sound. Another thin figure appeared. It was a soul formation cultivator with anger on his face. Lightning flashed around him as he landed in front of everyone like a bolt of lightning. The cultivator didn't get close. He immediately shouted, "Starfall Sky, what are you doing?" Starfall Sky looked at the cultivator and sneered, "Thunderclap Master, is this how you talk to the Vice Alliance leader of the Celestial Alliance?" "Humph." Thunderclap Master stood in the air and coldly snorted. If you were the Vice Alliance leader of the Celestial Alliance, would naturally be respectful to you and wouldn't need you to say anything. However, if you're using your power for personal gain, don't expect me to be respectful to you. After saying that, Thunderclap Master and Master Genuine said, Senior Martial Brothers, I've already asked the Alliance leader of the Celestial Alliance, Daoist Master Xian Qing. He clearly said that the Celestial Alliance only acts as a mediator during the Great War of Immortals and Demons. Other than the Great War of Immortals and Demons, the Celestial Alliance is just an empty shell. What Judgment Hall? It doesn't exist. The Celestial Alliance doesn't recognize it at all. Ha! Thunderclap Master laughed and said, in other words, Vice Alliance Leader Luo, your *T judgment order is *T. Master Genuine shouted, since it's an invalid judgment order, since it's *T, why should the Imperial Thunder Sect accept it? Really? Fairy Xianhua felt as if she had been granted amnesty and couldn't help but say with tears in her eyes, this arbitration order is. What is this judgment order? Luo Xingtian sneered. Do you think this judgment order is *T? After saying that, Luo Xingtian pointed at the traitorous Imperial Thunder Sect disciple and said with a smile, this judgment order is the spiritual treasure that split your Imperial Thunder Sect disciple into two. Luo Xingtian then pointed at the country of Shi's 4 sects that surrounded the Imperial Thunder Sect and said, this judgment order is the spiritual treasure that will destroy your Imperial Thunder Sect. In the end, Luo Xingtian pointed at Thunderclap Master, Master Genuine, and Thunderclap Master and said with a smile, this judgment order is the order that will take your lives. When Luo Xingtian finished speaking, the 3 spirit-severing cultivators trembled and their faces turned pale. Luo Xingtian said indifferently, according to what I know, you should still have 10 years of lifespan left. However, you used your divine ability to go to the Celestial Alliance. 10 years of lifespan have already been used on the road, damn it. Master Genuine cursed angrily. Even if I used my lifespan on the road, it would still be better than you wasting your lifespan on crafty schemes. Luo Xingtian coldly looked at Thunderclap Master and said meaningfully, Thunderclap Master, since he has already made it clear, why didn't he come with you? This. Thunderclap Master hesitated for a moment and didn't answer. Lord Alliance Master Du Peng, who had been silent all this time, finally spoke. Didn't you come to find the 2 envoys? Since the country of Shi's 4 sects didn't see them leave, I believe they must be in the Imperial Thunder Sect. Why don't you go in and search for them? Luo Xingtian nodded and said, Imperial Thunder Sect, the 2 envoys of my Celestial Alliance's Judgment Hall came to the Imperial Thunder Sect to send a message. After that, there was no news. This old man suspects that your Imperial Thunder Sect killed the 2 envoys and destroyed the Judgment Order. This old man wants to search your Mount Leymah. Damn it. Fairy Xianhua was already furious. She shouted, Mount Leymah is the foundation of my Imperial Thunder Sect. Without my permission, who dares to enter? Without my permission, who dares to explore? Ha ha ha. Du Peng laughed and said, this is really funny. Your Imperial Thunder Sect stole this old man's spiritual treasure and still dares to boast about being righteous. Don't slander us. Who stole your spiritual treasure? Fairy Xianhua was furious and shouted, my Imperial Thunder Sect is upright and upright. How could we do such a sinister thing? Senior. Du Peng ignored Fairy Xianhua and bowed to Luo Xingtian. Please make a decision on this matter. Luo Xingtian curiously asked, What's going on? Du Peng glanced at Fairy Xianhua and took out an emerald green toad from his bosom. He handed it to Luo Xingtian and said, Senior, although this junior has just arrived at the Dawn Rain continent, this junior sensed the aura of this junior's spiritual treasure. This is a part of this junior's spiritual treasure. Please make a decision. Luo Xingtian took the emerald green toad and looked at it. He seemed to be puzzled and said, "What's going on?" "This is the activation secret technique of this junior's spiritual treasure." Du Ping hurriedly took out a jade slip and handed it to Luo Xingtian. "Senior will know once you take a look." "Strange." Luo Xingtian took the jade slip and said. He probed it with his divine sense and looked at it for a moment. Then, he pointed at the toad and countless emerald lights appeared on it. Seeing the emerald lights enter the sky, Master Lei Ting frowned and said, "Luo Xingtian, what are you doing?" Luo Xingtian coldly looked at the three spirits severing cultivators and said, "If you were content with staying in the depths of the Thunder Mo mountain range, you might have 10 years of lifespan. But now, can you still stand in front of this old man for 2 hours?" Master Lei Ting and the others trembled as if they understood something. They raised their hands and pointed at Luo Xingtian. You. What's wrong with me?" Luo Xingtian roared. Shwa. The emerald green brilliance on the toad rushed into the sky like the Milky Way and then rushed towards the Imperial Thunder Sect protection array like a flood. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please go to Qidian to subscribe to support, vote for a month, vote for a recommendation, collect, reward, and thank you for all forms of support. Chapter 5145. Caw 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 caw. As the green light spread out, countless tiny lightning bolts were produced on the sect-protecting grand array. In less than the time it took to brew a cup of tea, the entire sect-protecting grand array began to tremble. Boom! It was unknown where it began to collapse, but the sect-protecting grand array let out an indescribable sound of collapse. What is going on? Fairy Xianhua turned pale with fright. The sect-protecting formation of the Imperial Thunder Sect was the last line of defense for the Imperial Thunder Sect's disciples. If this formation collapsed, the Imperial Thunder Sect would have no other choice but to be destroyed. Boom boom boom. Countless explosions sounded everywhere. In the end, boom. An earth-shattering thunder sounded. From the depths of the Mo Mountains, a huge lightning ball was born. At the same time, the toad in Luo Xingtian's hand flew out of his hand and pounced towards the lightning ball as if it was searching for treasure. Before it could get close, the toad had already turned into 1,000 feet large shadow. This shadow was not like the spirit treasure toad, but was very lifelike. It was like a real toad that could swallow heaven and earth. It opened its mouth wide and fell towards the lightning ball. Boom! Light and darkness intertwined. The green light closed and the lightning ball was actually covered by the toad's light. After a huge explosion, the lightning ball and the toad rapidly shrunk. When everyone saw it clearly, wasn't it a toad playing with a pearl? The thunder subjugation pearl that Qian Qinghua obtained was in the toad's mouth. Moreover, with the disappearance of the thunder subjugation orb, the Imperial Thunder Sect's protective formation began to crumble inch by inch. The entire Mo Mountains was like a shy virgin naked in front of the 4 sects of the country of Xi. Luo Xingtian. Suddenly, Wu Qing roared loudly, "Qian Lei Zi was killed by you." Before he died, he already. Unfortunately, before Wu Qing could finish, boom. A huge fist flew across the sky and hit Wu Qing's body. Wu Qing screamed and fell down like a rock. Wu Qing. Cui Yingying only had Wu Qing in her eyes. She roared and pounced towards Wu Qing. Luo Xingtian raised his hand and the toad landed in his hand. Luo Xingtian looked around with satisfaction and said, "Du Ping, do you see? The cultivators of the Lost Land were indeed ignorant. They didn't even understand such a simple principle. How could there be benefits in this world for no reason? All I did was throw out a thunder subjugation bead, and today, I've gained a thunder control sect. Yes, disciple understands. Duping bowed and said, but this thunder-controlling sect is too small, and Junior disdains to take charge of it. Haha, that's easy. Luo Xingtian laughed. I've already made the arrangements. It's fine if you don't want to. I'll leave the Imperial Thunder sect to someone else. Li Feng was overjoyed. Thinking that the other party was talking about him, he hurriedly bowed and said, Disciple thanks Lord Alliance Head, Pooh. Seeing this, how could Master Lei Ting not know that this was premeditated by Luo Xingtian? He couldn't hold it in any longer and spat out a mouthful of blood essence, dispirited in midair. Senior. Wu Qing cried out in alarm and hurriedly flew over to support Master Thunderclap. Unfortunately, Master Thunderclap's body was trembling and his aura was weak. He was already on the verge of death. Luo Xingtian glanced at Master Thunderclap and seemed to be prepared for Master Thunderclap's death. He looked at Li Feng and said, Li Feng, you think too much. Pooh. Hearing this, Lei Yunzi spat out a mouthful of blood essence. He couldn't hold it in anymore. Cui Yingying turned pale with fright and shouted, Senior. Just as Cui Yingying supported Lei Yunzi, Luo Xingtian continued, I've already arranged a sect master in the Imperial Thunder sect. Damn it. Pooh. The last spirit-severing stage senior of the Imperial Thunder sect couldn't hold it in any longer. He cursed and spat out a mouthful of blood, also dispirited in midair. Xiang Zhili was already prepared and hurriedly flew out to support Master Zhen Yuan. At this moment, whether it was Master Zhen Yuan or Fairy Xianhua, everyone knew that there were more hidden pawns in the Imperial Thunder sect other than the exposed spies. Unfortunately, Luo Xingtian smiled mysteriously and said, Since all of you are dead, why should I reveal my trump card? If you want to die, then so be it. After saying this, Luo Xingtian looked at Sun Yunzi and said, Sun Yunzi, 2 special envoys of the Immortal Alliance went missing in the Imperial Thunder sect. The Imperial Thunder sect won't cooperate with the investigation. I order you to break the formation and enter to find out if they are alive or dead. Yes, Junior obeys. Sun Yunzi replied loudly. He raised his hand and waved, Disciples, listen to my command. Destroy the Imperial Thunder sect. Disciples. Fairy Xianhua didn't have time to think and hurriedly shouted, Listen to my command. Kill. Kill. Whether it was the disciples of the Imperial Thunder sect or the disciples of the 4 sects surrounding the Imperial Thunder sect, they all roared. A great battle was about to break out. The Imperial Thunder sect was about to be destroyed. Esteemed Lei Ting, esteemed Zhen Yuan, and Lei Yunzi all opened their mouths. Their eyes were filled with despair. Although they couldn't see the future, they already knew the end of the Imperial Thunder sect. They stretched out their hands, wanting to grab onto hope, but hope floated away like a fish in water. Rumble. Suddenly, a thunderous roar came from the distant sky. Afterward, the entire world was engulfed in the wrath of thunder. Countless roaring thunder, dark clouds, thunder, and lightning bolts appeared as if the world was about to be destroyed. In the blink of an eye, the entire sky was covered in lightning. In the layers of dark clouds, countless lightning bolts roared like dragons. However, these lightning bolts didn't dare to be loud, for fear of alarming the people in the sky. Just as the lightning bolts roared, a divine sense poured over like a vast ocean. In an instant, it covered the entire Mo mountain range. This divine sense was filled with the wrath of the thunder god and the majesty of a ruler. The shackles of heaven and earth were unparalleled, and the power of the human race was unparalleled. Lord Alliance Master of the Heavenly Alliance. Luo Xingtian and Dupeng were dumbfounded. Both of them were in disbelief. They couldn't believe it. How could such a majesty that was comparable to the Alliance Master of the Heaven Alliance appear in the Dawn Rain continent? Rumble. Just as the two of them were in shock, countless lightning bolts struck from the thunder. Then, the entire world was filled with lightning bolts and majesty. Amidst the clouds of lightning and the picturesque sunlight, a thin and tall cultivator walked out as lonely as snow. The sky was his seat, the earth was his footstool, the thunder was his breath, and the lightning was his gaze. The world seemed to be in his hands, and everyone's attention seemed to be gathered on him. This was the return of the king. Foster, foster father. Xiangjili was the first to shout. This scene had appeared in his dreams countless times. Now that it appeared again, Xiangjili suspected that he was still dreaming. Little junior brother. Xiangyang couldn't help but shout when he saw that the cultivator was as handsome as Jade. However, his eyebrows were upside down, and he looked familiar with his phoenix-like eyes. Senior brother Xiao. Cui Hongshan's tears suddenly fell, and he couldn't say another word. Xiaohua. Zhua **** finally woke up, and pleasant surprise filled his heart. You're actually still alive. Of course, with this thought, Zhua **** became sorrowful again. Old man, you had eyes in the underworld. When you were alive, you wanted Xiaohua to give you face, but in the end, you didn't wait. Today, this child Xiaohua can finally hold his head high. Your face in the Thunder Control sect, in the Dawn Rain continent, is unprecedented. Amidst the rain of lightning, Xiaohua floated over. His divine sense swept over, and his might enveloped the world as if it was sealed. Although he still hadn't landed, Xiaohua's seemingly ordinary expression was like that of a god. Without any hesitation, he said indifferently, Dupeng, you narrowly escaped death from the Yilin continent to the Dawn Rain continent. Was it all for these schemes and machinations? Since that's the case, you'd better return. Finished speaking, Xiaohua extended his hand. In an instant, it was as if the entire vault of heaven fell. Duping clearly had the strength of a spirit-severing stage cultivator, but in Xiaohua's large hand, he wasn't even comparable to an infant. Bang! Xiaohua's large hand fell and grabbed Dupeng. Amidst his flesh and blood bursting, a demonic figure hurriedly flew out. Jipeng, you've already revealed your true body. Why do you need to leave? Xiaohua muttered softly. As if thunder had descended, countless lightning bolts appeared out of thin air, forcibly imprisoning this demonic figure. In an instant, the demonic figure turned into scattered ashes, and its divine soul scattered. Senior. The lofty Luo Xingtian no longer dared to have any hesitation. He knelt on the ground and said, Junior has been bewitched by this devil, your scheme is very far-sighted. Even this old man admires you. Xiaohua expressionlessly looked at Luo Xingtian and said, if it was someone else, they would presumably let you go. Unfortunately, you don't know that this thunder-subduing bead was personally brought back to the Thunder Control sect by this old man. If I don't kill you, how can this old man understand the cause and effect? Besides, if you covet any sect or sect in the Dawn Rain continent, this old man won't make things difficult for you. Unfortunately, you actually dared to place your ambitions on the Thunder Control sect. Although the Thunder Control sect expelled this old man, the myriad Thunder Valley that this old man came from is still in the Thunder Control sect. If this old man doesn't kill you, who will I kill? You. Luo Xingtian suddenly came to a realization and said in shock, you're Xiaohua, the abandoned disciple of the Thunder Control sect. The Thunder Control sect can do without this old man, but this old man can't do without the Thunder Control sect in his heart. Xiaohua said indifferently and waved his hand again. A light figure like a thunder god descended and grabbed the lofty Luo Xingtian. Since you dare to offend the Thunder Control sect, then you can only use your life to pay for it. Senior, spare my life, spare my life. Luo Xingtian loudly begged. Boom. Xiaohua's lightning hand tightly locked onto Luo Xingtian's body. Luo Xingtian's body was unable to resist and shattered. A panicked primordial spirit was revealed. It was extremely frightened. Pooh! Lightning flashed in the sky for no reason and smashed onto this primordial spirit. It was faster than rain falling on an ink painting. Luo Xingtian's primordial spirit quickly faded. Xiaohua. Master Lei Ting called out softly and closed his eyes peacefully. This is Daoist Master Xiao. Master Zhen Yuan was also surprised and looked at Xiaohua in disbelief. Lei Yunzi took a deep breath and called out, Fairy Xianhua, Xiaohua. Unfortunately, before he could finish speaking, the lifespan that was hastily consumed had already disappeared. Lei Yunzi left unwillingly. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please go to Qidian to subscribe to support, vote for a month, vote for a recommendation, collect, reward, and thank all forms of support. Xiaohua has finally returned, the king has returned. In order to thank fellow Taoists for not leaving and abandoning me, I added a chapter to thank everyone. Chapter 5146. Before Xiaohua landed, he had already seen clearly that Lei Yunzi and Master Lei Lei had long reached the end of their lifespans. The reason why they were still gasping for breath was because they had used some kind of secret technique. Because these secret techniques were heaven-defying, Xiaohua's rejuvenation pill and peach of immortality were unable to do anything to them. Therefore, Xiaohua didn't waste those precious spirit fruits. Seeing the two spirit-severing cultivators fall, Xiaohua raised his hand and beckoned again. The dark green toad with the thunder-subduing bead in its mouth fell into his hand. Xiaohua's gaze was like lightning. After looking at it for a moment, he sneered and said, "You can really endure. Back then, were you hiding inside it? Because your secret technique came from the Yilin continent's Heaven Alliance, no one on the Dawn Rain continent knew about it. Therefore, you set up a trap for Qian Qinghua to fall into and send the thunder-subduing orb back to the Imperial Thunder sect. Even Master Qian Lei couldn't find your primordial spirit hidden inside the thunder subjugation bead. I'm afraid that Master Qian Lei hasn't relaxed his vigilance in the past 1,000 years. You never had a chance." Following Xiaohua's voice, the thunder subjugation pearl emitted layers of light, and Luo Xingtian's figure gradually appeared in the lightning. However, at this time, Luo Xingtian's face was filled with panic, as if he was trying his best to escape. "Since you've already chosen the place where you'll fall, this old man will fulfill your wish." Xiaohua smiled faintly, and a ball of lightning appeared in his hand. Rumble. Countless bolts of lightning entered the thunder-subduing pearl, and a faint wailing sound came from the lightning. Luo Xingtian used the thunder subjugation bead to scheme against the Imperial Thunder sect and kill Master Qian Lei. However, his last trace of primordial spirit was also destroyed by the thunder subjugation bead. After annihilating Luo Xingtian's primordial spirit, Xiaohua didn't stop. With a grab of his large hand, Kacha, the dark green toad was crushed into powder by him. Soon after, Xiaohua used his finger to point at the thunder annihilation pearl. Whoosh! The thunder annihilation pearl rushed into the sky and disappeared into the vast expanse of lightning. However, a fist-sized vortex was born within the thunder annihilation pearl, and countless bolts of lightning fell into it like a myriad of streams returning to their origin. Senior. Seeing that Xiaohua easily killed Luo Xingtian and Du Peng, who were at the Void Refinement Realm, Sun Yunzi hurriedly fell to the ground in midair and shouted, "Junior has been wronged, Junior is innocent." Sun Yunzi fell to the ground. Qi Jianghai and the others didn't dare to hesitate and fell to the ground as well. Kill. At this moment, in the distant sky, endless battle cries rang out. The 4 sects of the state of Shi that had originally surrounded the Imperial Thunder sect suddenly discovered that behind them, there were disciples several times stronger than them that had surrounded them like iron buckets. At this moment, they were wielding magic treasures and fiercely charging towards them. Fortune Gate disciples, listen to my command. Xiao Hua stood high in the air like a fiend, issuing his order. Kill. Those who dare to offend the Imperial Thunder sect will be killed without mercy. Obey the sect master's order, kill. Countless Fortune Gate disciples roared, their voices echoing in the sky. The disciples who had betrayed the Imperial Thunder sect felt like dying. Unfortunately, there was no time for them to indulge in such thoughts. The Fortune Gate's disciples had already formed an iron-blooded battle team and pounced on them. Ah! Xiao Hua lowered his head to look at Venerable Zhen Yuan and asked, "Are you a disciple of the Imperial Thunder sect?" Junior is indeed a disciple of the Imperial Thunder sect. Venerable Zhen Yuan didn't dare to delay and tried to struggle out of Xiang Zhili's embrace. Unfortunately, his lifespan was already exhausted and he couldn't get up no matter how hard he tried. "You're quite lucky," Xiao Hua said indifferently. With a wave of his hand, a peach of immortality appeared in front of him and he said, "Eat this." Venerable Zhen Yuan received the peach of immortality and hurriedly ate it without any hesitation. He felt a warm current rush into his limbs and bones, and a wave of warmth spread throughout his body. Venerable Zhen Yuan was overjoyed and stood up from Xiang Zhili's embrace. He bowed and said, "Junior thanks Senior for his generous gift." "There's no need to thank me." Xiao Hua waved his hand indifferently. "It's just a little bit of lifespan. Use it carefully." "Yes, Junior understands." Venerable Zhen Yuan was shocked. He didn't dare to believe it, but he also believed that Xiao Hua wouldn't lie to him. He hurriedly bowed and said. Xiao Hua's gaze swept past the cleansing flower sex fairy Bai Hua, splendid sex Qi Jianghai, 7 skills sex Daoist withered leaf, and Xuanyan school's fairy Poyu. He waved his hand and the 4 of them saw a flash of light in front of their eyes. Their bodies actually landed on the battlefield several hundred li away. At the same time, Xiao Hua's voice sounded in their ears, "Although you've been bewitched, you still have ambitions in your hearts. This old man won't punish you. As long as you can break out of this encirclement, you can go. If you can't break out, then die here." Damn it! The 4 nascent soul cultivators felt a chill in their hearts when they saw the ferocious Fortune Gate's disciples. They cursed under their breath and hurriedly circulated their magic power to fight with the nascent soul cultivators. "As for you," Xiao Hua looked at Sun Yunzi and said, "There's no need for me to say anything, right? You also know why I must kill you. If you want to enter the cycle of reincarnation, you can kill yourself now. If this old man kills you, with this old man's hatred for you, your soul will definitely be destroyed." Sun Yunzi looked at the godlike Xiao Hua and sighed, "This junior understands. Since this junior did that thing back then, there's no need for me to regret it now. I hope that senior can treat my splendid sex disciples well. Most of them don't know what happened here. Since you're already dead, why worry about other things?" Xiao Hua said coldly. "Pa." Sun Yunzi was indeed a formidable person. He didn't refute at all and hit his own head. Blood splattered everywhere. A spirit-severing cultivator was killed by Xiao Hua just like that. The entire place was silent, there was no more sound. Everyone was quietly looking at Xiao Hua, as if they were in a dream. After Xiao Hua appeared, the calamity of sect annihilation disappeared in less than half a cup of tea's time. Whether it was void refinement cultivators or spirit-severing cultivators, they all turned into ashes. Master's wife. Xiao Hua, whose aura filled heaven and earth, suddenly shouted and withdrew his aura. Like a child, he turned into lightning and landed among the thousands of Imperial Thunder Sect's disciples. He actually knelt in front of an ordinary golden core female cultivator and cried, "This disciple is unfilial and frightened Master's wife. This disciple is unfilial and frightened Master's wife. This disciple is unfilial and frightened Master's wife." A few words of deep apology sounded like thunder in the hearts of all the Imperial Thunder Sect's disciples. They stood there at a loss and didn't dare to believe their eyes. A cultivator who could easily kill the deputy leader of the Immortal Alliance was kneeling in front of a golden core cultivator. He was so humble and so filial. Child. Zhuo Wu was shocked. With tears in his eyes, he gently helped Xiao Hua up and said, "Get up. Master's wife won't blame you. Even your master, he, won't blame you." When Zhuo Wu said this, she couldn't say another word. Helplessness blamed Xiao Hua for not giving him face when he was alive. Even before helplessness died, Xiao Hua was still expelled from the Imperial Thunder Sect by Fairy Xian Hua. Although helplessness already knew that Xiao Hua was a terrifying phoenix and a nameless nascent soul cultivator, he never gave Xiao Hua any face when he was alive. At this time, Xiao Hua returned gloriously. Not to mention the head of the Imperial Thunder Sect, even the leader of the Immortal Alliance had to kneel and greet him. This kind of glory was something that helplessness dreamed of. However, helplessness's soul had already returned to the netherworld and he could no longer see it. When Zhuo Wu thought of this, how could she not be sad? A myriad of words transformed into, "Even if it's your master, he won't blame you." This sentence caused a crack sound to ring out in Xiao Hua's heart. A knot in his heart was untied with these words, and Xiao Hua's tears couldn't help but fall. He called out, "Master, disciple has let you down, rumble." It wasn't Xiao Hua's intention. Because of Xiao Hua's body of laws, as long as some of his emotions leaked out, the sky would change. As Xiao Hua cried, thousands of lightning roared and covered the entire Lei Mo mountain range. Everything in the world became austere, thousands of thoughts died. A few moments later, Xiang Zhilik flew over and said in a low voice, "Godfather, the Imperial Thunder Sect's crisis is not over yet. It's not too late to reminisce about the past after we return to the Myriad Lightning Valley." Xiao Hua wiped his tears and stood up to look around. He said indifferently, "What crisis? Just some chickens and dogs, let the Fortune Gate disciples clean them up." Wu Qing, what happened to you? Xiao Hua looked at Wu Qing and quickly took out a jade bottle from his pocket, saying, "This is a medicinal pill this old man refined, quickly take it." "Thank you, second senior brother." Wu Qing respectfully received the jade bottle and calmly swallowed it. Then he saluted, "Junior brother greets senior brother." "Godfather. How could Xiang Zhili let Swift Wind off?" He hurriedly pointed at Wu Qing and said, "Previously, Wu Qing fought with Swift Wind for the position of Heavenly Lightning Palace's palace master. Although Wu Qing lost and was kicked out of the Thunder Arena by Swift Wind injured Wu Qing in order to eliminate him from the Imperial Thunder Sect master position. Hee. Xiao Hua turned to look at the flustered Swift Wind and grinned, "The Imperial Thunder Sect is this old man's former sect. Whoever dares to covet the Imperial Thunder Sect, this old man will definitely exterminate them. The Myriad Lightning Valley is this old man's birthplace. Whoever dares to touch a hair of my Myriad Lightning Valley's disciples, this old man will definitely exterminate them." However, this old man really didn't expect that your temperament hasn't changed after moving from the Dawn Rain mainland to the Yilin mainland, and then from the Yilin mainland to the Dawn Rain mainland. Earlier, this old man heard from Zhang Jia that he separated you from Du He because he was afraid that you would be killed by the devil race, but Zhang Jie underestimated the desire in your heart. You actually went to seek refuge with Du He again. Most likely, you coveted the Blue Imperial Thunder sect master position, and wanted to use Du He's scheme to step onto the Imperial Thunder sect master's throne, right? My senior brother by Fei. You. When Swift Wind heard the last part, it was as if he had seen a ghost. He exclaimed, "You're Daoist Shao." That Daoist Shao. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please go to Qidian to subscribe to support, vote for a monthly vote for a recommendation vote, bookmark, reward, and thank all forms of support. Chapter 5147. Xiao Hua laughed and said, "Of course I'm Daoist Shao. I've never hidden my identity from the first time I saw you. Who else is like you, not daring to reveal your true face after coming to Dawn Rain Continent, to your hometown, and even pretending to be Daoist Swift Wind?" As he spoke, Xiao Hua raised his hand and pointed at Daoist Swift Wind's forehead. A fluctuation appeared, and like a flash of water, Daoist Swift Wind's appearance changed, turning into Bai Fei's appearance. Bai Fei's face was filled with disbelief, and his eyes were filled with unwillingness as he stared at Xiao Hua. Even in his dreams, he would never have thought that he wouldn't even be fit to carry Xiao Hua's shoes in the end. Rumble. Xiao Hua waved his hand again, and a thunderous hand fell down. He said, "Anyone who hurts my myriad Thunder Valley's disciple, die." Bai Fei's face was ashen as he watched the space being annihilated. He knew that his time of death had come. "Senior brother." Suddenly, Wu Qing spoke, "Can you spare his life?" "Oh." Xiao Hua smiled and asked, "Why?" Although he pretended to be Daoist Swift Wind, he was still able to step forward just now. He can be considered an unyielding man. Wu Qing said in a low voice. Xiao Hua pondered for a moment, and Xiang Zhili hurriedly explained in a low voice. Xiao Hua laughed and said, Wu Qing, you were negligent." This was Luo Xingtian's two-pronged plan. On one hand, he manipulated the ordinary disciples of the Imperial Thunder sect, and on the other hand, he let Bai Fei replace Daoist Swift Wind. If either side succeeded, he could control the Imperial Thunder sect. However, the previous Daoist Swift Wind was too weak, so Luo Xingtian didn't care. After that, Bai Fei's ability far exceeded Daoist Swift Wind's, and also far exceeded Luo Xingtian's expectations. The more righteous Bai Fei is, the more he can get the position of Imperial Thunder sect's head. He's just pretending. Wu Qing already understood Xiao Hua's words. However, he still smiled and said, "Although he was a little cunning that day, he still defeated me fair and square. If senior brother kills him, how can I find him for revenge?" This. Xiao Hua looked at Bai Fei. He knew that Bai Fei was a scheming person. Even Xiao Hua himself might not be able to compare to Bai Fei. But at the same time, a scheming person like Bai Fei was also a whetstone for Wu Qing. Rather than killing Bai Fei now, it would be better to let Bai Fei help Wu Qing grow. "All right." Xiao Hua finally nodded and said, "Since that's the case, this old man will spare him." However, when Xiao Hua released his thunderous hand, he suddenly made a grabbing motion and grabbed Bai Fei's back. He coldly said, "How could a filthy person like you be worthy of Guangyu of the Holy Light World?" Kacha. Amidst the surging lightning, a transparent feather of light was pulled out by Xiao Hua. "Ah!" Bai Fei screamed miserably. Unexpectedly, he looked as if he was about to faint, and that transparent feather of light fell into Xiao Hua's hand. Caw caw caw. Countless sparks of lightning burned the feather of light to nothing in an instant. Bai Fei was thrown into the air by Xiao Hua, but as his clothes were in a mess, a fluctuation fell into Xiaohua's eyes. Xiaohua raised his hand and grabbed, and a jade bottle wrapped in rags immediately fell into Xiaohua's hand. Oh, so it's this thing. When Xiaohua saw the jade bottle, he immediately thought of the small bottle he saw on Luofeng Mountain. He smiled and said, "No wonder you were able to reach the late nascent soul stage in such a short time." The moment Xiaohua threw the small bottle to Bai Fei, he raised his eyebrows and a strange light flashed in his eyes. This was because he actually saw many fragmented law fluctuations within the small bottle. These law fluctuations were born and died, giving birth to even more new laws. There were actually endless mysteries within. Interesting. Xiaohua's eyes turned, and the small bottle in his hand immediately disappeared. His mind also immediately entered the space. However, after a moment, Xiaohua's mind left the space, and the small bottle along with the rags appeared in his hand again. This time was extremely short. Xiaohua's body flickered with lightning, and no one noticed Xiaohua's deliberate small movements. Xiaohua waved his hand and threw the rags and the small bottle to Bai Fei again. He coldly said, "The cultivation of the Tao lies in the heart. The so-called magic treasures, secret techniques, and so on are all external objects. Although you relied on this item to reach the late nascent soul stage, your heart is not right, and your intentions are not right. How can you achieve good results?" Bai Fei's face was filled with shame, and the hand holding the small bottle trembled slightly. He regarded the small bottle as his greatest secret, but in Xiaohua's eyes, it was like dirt. In particular, Bai Fei felt that he was the luckiest cultivator in the world with the small bottle. When he returned to the Dawn Rain continent, he could definitely trample Xiaohua under his feet. Even when he injured Wu Qing, it was not without reason to vent his anger. However, the reality was so cruel. Facing Xiaohua, not to mention trampling on him, even if he looked up, he could not see Xiaohua's depth, and Xiaohua simply disdained to trample on him. Oh, there's also... Xiaohua still wanted to speak, but he suddenly thought of something and took out the Kunlun mirror. Hong! A light beam flashed, and Ji Yu flew out while holding Yi Yun's hand. At this time, Yi Yun's face was filled with happiness, and Ji Yu was also smiling. When the two saw the scenery change, they unconsciously stared blankly. When they saw Xiaohua, they hurriedly bowed and saluted, "Disciple greets head elder." N. Xiaohua raised his hand and helped the two up. He said, "I'm sorry to disturb you too. However, the two of you still have a karma to settle with this bastard, so let's settle it now." Ji Yu and Yi Yun followed Xiaohua's gaze and saw the pale-faced Bai Fei. Anger appeared in Ji Yu's eyes, and Yi Yun showed even more disdain. Yi Yun did not hesitate at all. She took out the wind wheel from her storage pouch and threw it at Bai Fei's face. She coldly said, "Bai Fei, I was really blind to have taken a fancy to a beast like you. I really did not expect that for the sake of cultivation, you would actually deliberately scheme against me. Could it be that in your eyes, my affection for you, my sacrifice for you, my sincerity, is not worth that little increase in your cultivation? For a selfish cultivator like you, even if you succeed in cultivation, so what? In my eyes, in the eyes of the world, you are not even comparable to a dog raised by a secular family. Therefore, I still advise you not to be too selfish in your cultivation in the future, or else you will really become something worse than a pig or a dog." Damn! Xiaohua did not expect Yi Yun's mouth to be so powerful. With just a few words, Bai Fei's face alternated between red and white. He hurriedly said with a smile, "Yi Yun, now that the karma has been settled, quickly go back and cultivate. In the future, your cultivation will definitely be stronger than his." Yes, this disciple understands. Yi Yun hurriedly shut her mouth and bowed. This disciple thanks sect master for reminding this disciple that I was not destroyed in the hands of this thing worse than a pig or a dog. PFFF. Bai Fei could not hold it in anymore. He vomited blood and withered in the air. Hee hee. Xiao Hua sneered. He glanced at Bai Fei and said, even now, you are still acting in front of this old man. This old man has already promised Wu Qing not to take your life, so naturally, I won't take your life. What's the point of pretending to be angry? Too fake. Yi Yun sighed and said, what's the point of living in this world with such a person? Xiao Hua said indifferently, I hope you all can use him as a reference, be honest with each other, and face each other sincerely. This disciple will. Ji Yu and Yi Yun both bowed and replied. After Xiao Hua kept the two of them into his space, he waved his hand at Bai Fei and said, hurry up and leave. Seeing that Xiao Hua had seen through him, Bai Fei could no longer continue acting. He stood up and wanted to salute Xiao Hua, but he was too ashamed to do so. He resentfully looked around him. Other than a look of disdain, there was nothing else he could do. He clenched his teeth and secretly swore to himself that he would return today's humiliation 1,000 times over. Then, he urged his body and flew towards the direction where the battle had weakened. Bai Fei left. Only Li Feng, who was like a clown, was left in the air. Li Feng opened his mouth, wanting to beg for mercy. But seeing that Xiao Hua didn't even kill Bai Fei, how could he possibly make things difficult for a few little gold cores? Thus, he simply kept quiet and knelt in the air, waiting for Xiao Hua's punishment. How could Xiao Hua dirty his hands? He glanced at Xiang Zhili, who was beside him. Xiang Zhili snapped out of his daze and let go of Lord Zhen Yuan's hand. He flew towards Li Feng and scolded, damn it. Why are you still here? Could it be that you still want to stay here for dinner? Scram. As he spoke, he lifted his leg and kicked Li Feng's body. Li Feng was kicked away like a stone and landed far away in the middle of the battle. Whether or not he could escape alive would depend on his luck. Seeing that Li Feng had also left, Lord Zhen Yuan whispered a few words to Fairy Xianhua. Fairy Xianhua hurriedly looked at Reverend Lei Meng and the others. They exchanged glances and simultaneously knelt in the air, saying, the juniors of the Imperial Thunder Sect greet Reverend Xiao. We thank Reverend Xiao for saving our Imperial Thunder Sect. Immediately, Lord Zhen Yuan was the first to kneel, followed by Fairy Xianhua, Reverend Lei Meng, Fairy Yao Feng and the other nascent soul cultivators. Then, like a rolling wave, all the disciples of the Imperial Thunder Sect knelt in an orderly manner in front of the Lei Mo mountain range and said, thank you, Reverend Xiao, for your great kindness. Seeing all the disciples kneeling, Zhuang also lost her sense of propriety and hurriedly knelt down. However, before she could move, a huge force appeared in the air and the disciples of the Myriad Thunder Valley were unable to move. All the disciples of the Myriad Thunder Valley stood behind Xiao Hua and received the kowtows of the disciples of the Imperial Thunder Sect. Sigh. Xiao Hua did not help the disciples of the Imperial Thunder Sect up. Instead, he sighed and said, facing all of you, this Xiao wants to say something, but all the words that have reached my mouth are unable to come out. I do have feelings for the Imperial Thunder Sect. Otherwise, I wouldn't have rushed over as soon as I heard the news. However, all of this is in the past. The reason why the Imperial Thunder Sect declined to such a state is because of the change in the heaven and earth Ling Qi, and also because of itself. Which one is the root cause? You all know it in your hearts. As for the thanks, this Xiao feels that there is no need. After all, this Xiao was the one who brought the thunder-subduing bead back to the Imperial Thunder Sect. This Xiao rescuing all of you is just mending the pen after the sheep have been lost. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, give it as a reward, and thank you to the alliance leader of Logia, and thank you for your rewards. This chapter will be updated for all of you. Because Tanhua was out on a business trip and did not have time to write, she just rushed back to update. Moreover, it is already nearing the end of the chapter, so there is no possibility of a large update. Please understand. Chapter 51-48. As he spoke, Xiaohua raised his hand and pointed to the sky. Boom! With a huge roar, the thunder subjugation bead flew down from the sky. As the thunder subjugation bead fell, the lightning that filled the sky gradually dissipated, revealing the scorching sun hanging above everyone's heads. Xiaohua released his divine sense and probed for a moment. With a wave of his right hand, a thunderous hand appeared and streaked across the sky, landing on the thunder subjugation bead. Boom boom boom. The thunder subjugation bead flashed with lightning like a dragon, trying to resist Xiaohua's thunderous hand. Fall! Xiaohua shouted as he grabbed the thunder subjugation bead and dropped it into the Thunder Mountain range. Boom boom boom. As the thunder subjugation bead fell, the entire Thunder Mountain range shook. Then, layers of lightning gushed out. The Imperial Thunder Sect's protective array was several times stronger than before. Amidst the lightning, the mountains shook and the earth trembled. Thank you, Senior, thank you, Senior. Fairy Xianhua was wild with joy. She shouted as tears flowed out of her eyes. Well, since you all have bowed down, this Xiao can't go empty-handed. Xiaohua looked at everyone, especially the white-haired Thunder Meng Daoist, and sighed in his heart. He took out a storage pouch and handed it to Fairy Xianhua. This is this Xiao's gift to the Imperial Thunder Sect. Consider it as repayment for the Imperial Thunder Sect's cultivation in the past. This is... Fairy Xianhua was puzzled. When she opened the storage pouch and saw many jade slips inside, she couldn't help but frown. However, when she took out a jade slip and checked it, she exclaimed, This is the cultivation method from Qi refinement to tribulation transcendence. Ah! Not only was Fairy Xianhua shocked, but Thunder Meng Daoist and the others also turned pale with fright. Xiaohua raised his hand, and a boundless power emerged from the void, helping all the disciples of the Imperial Thunder Sect to stand up. He said, The ancients are right, the grace of a drop of water should be repaid with a gushing spring. When this Xiao joined the Imperial Thunder Sect, my master had no choice but to teach me the Imperial Thunder Sect's cultivation method. Today, this Xiao will return the complete disciple selection method and cultivation method to the Imperial Thunder Sect. This is precisely to end the karma between us. This Xiao can only help the Imperial Thunder Sect, this is all. The road in the future is up to you all. Yes, we understand. Fairy Xianhua held the storage pouch tightly in her hand as if she had obtained a priceless treasure. Xiaohua turned to look at the 10,000 Lightning Valley's disciples, then added, However, this Xiao has also created a fortune gate. My disciples are the ones who killed the 4 sect's disciples who besieged the Imperial Lightning Sect, the 10,000 Lightning Valley's disciples. Little junior brother. Without waiting for Xiaohua to finish speaking, Xiang Yang suddenly interrupted, Elder brother is already old, I don't want to be tormented anymore. I appreciate your kindness, but since I've entered the Imperial Thunder Sect, I'll be a disciple of the Imperial Thunder Sect for the rest of my life. At this point, Xiang Yang looked sadly in the direction of the Myriad Thunder Valley and said, Besides, Master has always been proud of being a disciple of the Myriad Thunder Valley. He probably doesn't want the Myriad Thunder Valley to disappear from the Thunder Control Sect, right? Xiaohua. Zhua**** smiled and said, What Xiang Yang said is true. We are all old and like to stay in the Myriad Thunder Valley. You don't need to say anything more. Dui Chi Meng frowned and hurriedly said, "Of course, I won't say anything." If the children are willing, hearing this, how could Fairy Xianhua not know what she should do? She hurriedly raised her voice and said, "Daoist Xiao, Jr., as the sect master of the Imperial Thunder Sect, declares that the Myriad Thunder Valley will remain in the Imperial Thunder Sect forever. No one can eliminate it. Moreover, the Myriad Thunder Valley's disciples can enter the Fortune Gate as they wish. My Imperial Thunder Sect will forever recognize the Myriad Thunder Valley's disciples as my Imperial Thunder Sect's disciples." He, many thanks. Xiao Hua smiled and said to Fairy Xianhua. He then turned to Xiang Yang and the others and said, "It was younger brother's rashness. There's no need to mention this matter again. Let's go, we'll return to the Myriad Thunder Valley." Just as Xiao Hua was about to lead the Myriad Thunder Valley's disciples back to the Myriad Thunder Valley, Lord Zhen Yuan suddenly thought of something and hurriedly said, "Senior, Junior has something to report." "Oh. What do you have to say?" Xiao Hua was slightly stunned and turned around to ask. "That." Lord Zhen Yuan hesitated and probed, "Is Senior's dual cultivation partner Fairy Hongxiao?" Xiao Hua was startled and nodded, "Indeed. Junior just received a piece of news outside the Imperial Thunder Sect." "Is it related to Senior?" Lord Zhen Yuan didn't dare to delay and hurriedly took out a jade slip and handed it to Xiao Hua. Xiao Hua received the jade slip and scanned it with his divine sense. He frowned and looked at Lord Zhen Yuan. "Is this true?" "Junior doesn't know." Lord Zhen Yuan shook his head and said, "When Junior returned from the Immortal Alliance, I was in a hurry to return to the Imperial Thunder Sect. I didn't deliberately investigate." N. Xiao Hua nodded and the Kunlun mirror in his hand trembled. Yuanya flew out from the mirror and bowed, "Disciple greets Master. This is a piece of news from the Sky Patrol City. Take a look." Xiao Hua handed the jade slip to Yuanya and said, after reading it, "Discuss with Xiong Yi and the others and rush to the Sky Patrol City. Remember, there's no need to rush. Take it slow and force out the truth step by step." "Yes, disciple understands." Yuanya took the jade slip and looked at it without saying anything. Then, he flew back to the battlefield that had begun to settle down. "Oh, right." Xiao Hua looked at Lord Zhen Yuan and thought of something. He asked, "Did you participate in the previous Great Immortal Demon War?" "Junior participated." Lord Zhen Yuan hurriedly replied. It's good that you participated." Xiao Hua smiled and said, "I originally had something to ask Luo Xingtian. I was too angry just now and actually forgot about it." "Oh. Senior, what do you want to ask?" Lord Zhen Yuan hurriedly asked. Xiao Hua smiled and said, "Do you know who were the spirit-severing stage cultivators from the Immortal Ascension Sect and the Immortal Music Sect that participated in the Great Immortal Demon War?" "The Immortal Ascension Sect and the Immortal Music Sect." Lord Zhen Yuan hesitated for a moment and replied, "According to what Junior knows, the spirit-severing stage cultivators from these two sects were Lord Lian Kun, Meng Jiangzi, Feng Shu, Du Hong, Fan Li, Chan Si Miao, and others. And then who were the teachers of Shan Xingzi and perfected Du Gi?" Xiao Hua asked. "Naturally, it was Feng Shu and Chan Si Miao." Lord Zhen Yuan said without hesitation. "Good." The Kunlun mirror in Xiao Hua's hand trembled again and released the black bear spirit. "Junior greets Master." Seeing so many cultivators, the black bear spirit immediately knelt in front of Xiao Hua and respectfully kowtowed. "Esteemed Lord Zhen Yuan." Xiao Hua pointed at the black bear spirit and said, "This is my Fortune Gate's black bear spirit. Bring him to Feng Shu and Chan Si Miao. If I'm not mistaken, the two of them are this Xiao's greatest enemies. Junior understands." Seeing that the black bear spirit, whose strength he couldn't determine, was actually Xiao Hua's guard spirit beast, Lord Zhenyuan couldn't help but shrink his neck and reply. Master. The black bear spirit panicked when he heard that. He shouted, since it's a lifelong grudge, should I kill them? Not for now. Xiao Hua smiled and said, I'm not completely sure yet. Just capture them and bring them back. All right, Junior understands. The black bear spirit received the order and urged Lord Zhenyuan, old brat, why aren't you bringing me over? Oh, he doesn't have much lifespan left. Bring him over. Xiao Hua hurriedly ordered as if he remembered something. Sure. A demonic wind swirled around the black bear spirit as he brought Lord Zhenyuan up into the sky. Under Lord Zhenyuan's guidance, they flew towards the immortal ascension gate. Master's wife, let's go. Xiao Hua waved his sleeves and swept everyone from the Myriad Lightning Valley into the Myriad Lightning Valley. Fairy Xianhua only saw a blur in front of her and Xiao Hua disappeared. Zhuo Wu and the others were also gone. She couldn't help but feel a sense of loss. An indescribable feeling of defeat rose from the bottom of her heart. This feeling of defeat was like a dark cloud that permeated her entire body. In her disappointment, she couldn't help but look around. Looking at the Imperial Lightning Sect's intact sect protection formation and the nascent soul cultivators around her, it was as if nothing had happened. It was as if the commotion just now was like a dream. Fairy Xianhua couldn't believe it. In order to control the Imperial Lightning Sect, the Vice Alliance Master of the Immortal Alliance, Luo Xingtian, had actually arranged so many hidden schemes. Thousand Lightning Mountain, Swallow Thunder Ridge, and the other Imperial Lightning Sect disciples had already submitted to Luo Xingtian at some point in time. Jifeng Daoist had also been replaced by Bai Fei at some point in time. As for the Thunder Subjugation Bead, it was obvious that Luo Xingtian was the first to send over the Imperial Lightning Sect. If there were no accidents, Master Qian Lazy had died because of the Thunder Subjugation Bead. The Imperial Lightning Sect protection formation had also turned into nothingness because of the Thunder Subjugation Bead. In particular, Luo Xingtian had actually persuaded Splendid Sect, Qiqiao Sect, Xuanyan School, and Huanhua Sect to join forces and destroy the Imperial Lightning Sect. Although these four sects kept saying that they acted on their own initiative, without the consent of the four sect masters, how could they have sent out so many disciples? In the face of such a scheme by the Vice Alliance Master of the Immortal Alliance and the four great sects of the state of Xi, the Imperial Lightning Sect absolutely had no power to fight back. If Xiao Hua hadn't appeared in time, the Imperial Lightning Sect wouldn't have been able to escape the fate of being destroyed. However, Xiao Hua was personally expelled from the Imperial Lightning Sect by Fairy Xianhua, and the Myriad Thunder Valley was almost erased from the Imperial Lightning Sect by Fairy Xianhua. Fairy Xianhua was now very scared. She didn't dare to imagine what Xiao Hua's reaction would be if he knew what she had done to the Myriad Thunder Valley. Thinking of this, Fairy Xianhua let out a long breath. She opened her mouth to say something, but when she looked again, she saw that Thunder Meng Daoist, Fairy Yao Feng, and the others were looking at the direction Xiao Hua disappeared in. It was unknown what they were thinking. Cough cough. Fairy Xianhua let out a low cough and said, "Everyone, what do you think?" Thunder Meng Daoist and the others came back to their senses. They looked at each other and said with a wry smile, "Honorable Sect Master, what can we think? We only feel that our lifespans have been wasted." Fairy Xianhua also gave a wry smile and nodded, "It's not just you. This seat also feels the same. Previously, when this seat saw Xiang Zhili and Cui Yingying, I felt that their aptitudes were too heaven-defying. In just a few hundred years, they were able to step into the early nascent soul stage. It was really inconceivable. But later, this seat saw Wu Qing. Wu Qing was much younger than Xiang Zhili, but he had cultivated to the middle nascent soul stage. This seat was even more ashamed and felt that the heavens were unfair. This seat had cultivated for so long, but Wu Qing was about to catch up to me. Thunder Mang Daoist, oh, there's no need to talk about that by Fei. He is even more powerful than Wu Qing. And this seat has never even heard of his name. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please go to Qidian to subscribe to support, vote for a monthly vote for a recommendation vote, bookmark, and reward. Thank you for all forms of support. Thank you to Empty Chin, Fern Luster, loyal fan of Divine Cultivation, Kai Gui Han, Phosphorescent Dance, Chuan Tong, and other fellow Taoists for their rewards. Chapter 51-49. Even if they are powerful, when facing them, I can still feel jealousy in my heart. I feel that they are really favored by the heavens. At the same time, I can also encourage myself to be on par with them. Fairy Xianhua paused for a moment and said, however, when facing Daoist Xiao, I don't have the courage to think about these things. First, he killed the spirit-severing stage cultivator who was possessed by the devil race. Then, he killed the void refinement stage deputy leader of the Immortal Union. Finally, he even forced the spirit-severing stage cultivator to commit suicide. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, how could I believe it? The Qi refinement stage cultivator who joined the Imperial Thunder sect back then, his cultivation has reached such an unimaginable level. How did he cultivate? I can only use the word unimaginable to describe Daoist Xiao. Being close to Xiao Hua, Reverend Lei Meng also said, but this poor Daoist thinks about it again. Back then, during the Great Sword Battle, Reverend Xiao already had such a high level of power. Today, you are able to shine in front of our eyes. Fairy Xian Feng shook her head and said, Junior brother Lei Meng, you are wrong. No matter how strong Daoist Xiao was, he was only at the early nascent soul stage. From the early nascent soul stage to the unity stage, Daoist Xiao only used less than 1,000 years. 1,000 years of cultivation, you and I are well aware of it. Can someone reach the late nascent soul stage from the early nascent soul stage? Generally speaking, it is impossible. Lei Tingzi interrupted, unless there is a great opportunity. But our Daoist Xiao has already reached the unity stage. Xing Yunzi said excitedly, that is a peak that can only be reached after tens of thousands of years of cultivation. We can only use the word miracle to describe Daoist Xiao. Sigh. Zhi sighed, if only we didn't expel Daoist Xiao back then. When Fairy Xian Hua heard this, her expression changed slightly. This was a scar in her heart. Previously, when Xiao Hua, a nascent soul cultivator, was expelled, the Imperial Lightning sect had become the laughingstock of the three countries. Now that Xiao Hua had returned with the might of a unity stage cultivator and a powerful Fortune Gate army, wouldn't the Imperial Lightning sect become a laughingstock once again? Unexpectedly, Daoist Lei Meng laughed and said, Junior brother is wrong. If not for the sect leader expelling Daoist Xiao that day, how could Daoist Xiao have today's achievements? If Daoist Xiao was still in the Imperial Thunder sect, he would only be slightly stronger than us. At most, he would be similar to the three elders. How could such a Daoist Xiao be a match for Luo Xing Tian? How can my Imperial Thunder sect escape destruction? Ha, not bad, not bad. Fairy Yao Feng laughed and said, as the saying goes, everything is caused by karma. If it weren't for the sect master's banishment, how could Daoist Xiao have annihilated the falling star heavens today? It seems that sect leader, you are the real expert. You knew 1,000 years ago that Daoist Xiao would become a great person. If it was before, Fairy Yaofeng's words would have contained a hint of mockery. But in the difficult situation just now, Fairy Xianhua's resolute attitude of choosing death over dishonor had caused the eyes of Fairy Yao Feng and the others to light up, and some of the dissatisfaction in their hearts had already vanished. Therefore, her words revealed that she was definitely joking. Alas! It wasn't that Fairy Xianhua couldn't tell the joke, but she still said faintly, "But I did expel Daoist Shao after all, and cleaned up the myriad Thunder Valley." Reverend Lei Meng laughed and said, "You think too much, sect leader. Didn't you hear what Daoist Shao said? Imperial Thunder Sect can expel him, but he can't not have Imperial Thunder Sect in his heart. What do you have to worry about such a loyal and filial person?" Fairy Jing Feng also persuaded, "Besides, you are the sect leader of Imperial Thunder Sect. This is all within your authority. Even if you are wrong, Daoist Shao can't blame you. I still feel that I should ask for Daoist Shao's forgiveness." Fairy Xianhua said, "He is the great benefactor of my Imperial Thunder Sect. If I don't ask for his forgiveness, I can't forgive myself." Seeing that Fairy Xianhua was somewhat indecisive, Reverend Lei Meng and the others had no other choice. They looked at each other and said, "How about this, sect leader? Let's clean up the mess first and let Daoist Shao reunite with the disciples of Myriad Thunder Valley. Tomorrow, we will go and ask for forgiveness together, how about it?" "What crime have you committed?" Fairy Xianhua was stunned. Reverend Lei Meng laughed and said, "If sect leader is guilty, then the disciples of Imperial Thunder Sect are guilty. If you go and ask for forgiveness, how can we not follow?" Tears welled up in Fairy Xianhua's eyes. She tried her best to hold back and nodded, "Yes, yes, since this was a matter of the cultivation sects, how could the fortune gate under Zhong Haoran's control be any better than the state of Xi's Imperial Thunder Sect with such complicated affairs?" About 1,000 miles to the east of Sky Patrol City, there was a continuous foothill that looked like a sleeping beast in the night. The undulating lines were rough in the darkness. Occasionally, moonlight would fall from the clouds and reveal more of these lines. The starting point of the lines was hidden in the dark night and the ending point extended into the dark night. There was no end to be seen. Call. A low cry of a night bird rang out from an unknown place, shaking the night sky and disturbing the clouds. Swoosh swoosh. As the clouds cruised, snowflakes sprinkled down like salt shafts. In just a moment, the darkness nearby was filled with grayish-white, speckled and mottled. Amidst this faint snowstorm, a cloaked figure rode on a sword light from afar, streaking across the night sky and landing on a low hill. When the figure landed, he first looked left and right, as if he didn't find anything. After a slight hesitation, he soared into the sky again. When he reached a height of more than 1,000 feet, he released his divine sense. After searching for a long time, he fell like a stone. When he landed on a hill, he stopped and took off his cloak, revealing a white-haired old man. This old man's eyebrows were sharp like swords, and his figure was like a bell. Standing on the hill, he looked more stable than the hill. The old man withdrew his divine sense and muttered to himself, "Strange, isn't this the place we agreed to meet? Why hasn't sect leader come yet? Could it be that something happened?" Then, the old man sat down cross-legged and formed a sword seal. His body flashed with a faint sword brilliance and gradually became flat, like a long sword. After a full 2 hours, the night became even darker and the dream was covered by the fluttering snowflakes. The old man had already disappeared, leaving only an icicle standing on the hill. Whoosh! Also silently, from another direction, another ray of sword light rushed out of the darkness and inadvertently swept past the hill. However, it only flew out 1,000 feet. Ha! A voice came from the sword light. The sword light immediately stopped, and a handsome old man with white eyebrows that reached his temples appeared from the sword light. He wore a sword robe and wore a sword robe. The old man looked at the icicle in surprise. He wasn't in a hurry to land it, but instead released his divine sense to look around. He raised his hand and a sword him echoed. The old man cautiously stopped in the air and began to guard the old man inside the icicle. The darkness finally faded away and the light of dawn gradually appeared. When a ray of sunlight fell on the ice pillar, it was as gentle as a lover's. Kang! The ice pillar was completely filled with sword light, and it was competing with the sun's brilliance. When the ice fragments fell, a sword light rushed into the sky. It hovered for a moment before falling back down. Where the sword light landed, a flying sword flickered a few times. The old man from before stepped out from the sword light. "Congratulations, Yun Shu." Seeing this, the old man smiled and his voice was like the hum of a sword. "You have already reached grade 3 of the illusory sword. If you cultivate for another 100 years, you will reach the sword transformation stage." Alas! The old man didn't have any special joy on his face. Instead, he opened his mouth and a ray of sword energy entered his stomach. He sighed and said, "Time is short and 100 years is too long. If I can reach the sword transformation stage today, then I will be able to help Sect Master. Hee, it has only been 700 years and you have already reached grade 3 of the illusory sword. If we compare cultivation, you should be at the late gold core stage. In the past, I wouldn't even dare to think about this. What are you not satisfied with? Sect Master." Junior Martial Brother Fei's eyes revealed the vicissitudes of life. He looked at the old man with white eyebrows and said, "Disciple is already satisfied to be able to reach the sword transformation stage from Qi refinement stage. The rest of my cultivation is just to not disappoint Daoist Shao and for Sect Master's great plan." The old man with white eyebrows faintly smiled and said, "Who isn't? Of course, when Daoist Shao entrusted this to me, you were also there. If it weren't for Daoist Shao's advice, I wouldn't have been able to reach this point." Sigh. Hearing this, the old man named Yun Shu sighed and looked up at the night sky. After half a cup of tea's time, he said, "Not to mention you, even I never would have thought that this so-called fortune gate would develop into such a powerful force in our hands. This is all because of Daoist Zhao's protection." The old man with white eyebrows said indifferently with a gaze like a sword, "Only his reputation can gather thousands of ordinary disciples and form such a powerful force." "Yes, Sect Master." The old man with white hair smiled and said, "Do you still remember that day? The words you said to Daoist Shao?" "Oh." The old man with white eyebrows raised and said thoughtfully, "Yun Shu, which sentence are you talking about?" "That day, Daoist Shao didn't forget to remind me." "That sentence." The old man with white eyebrows looked through the darkness and replied, "Daoist Shao, don't worry. How can Tian Qi compare to our fortune gate? Our fortune gate will definitely become the #1 sect on the Dawn Rain mainland." Hearing this, the white-browed old man became excited and loudly said, "Not only that. This Xiong still remembers that Daoist Master Shao asked this Xiong at that time." The old man said, "This Shao has done what he should do. The rest is up to you. I remember that there used to be a loose cultivator organization called Heaven's Forsaken. It was made up of loose cultivators at the early stage of Qi refinement and foundation establishment. This Shao wants to see if you can build my fortune gate into a bigger sect than the Heaven Forsaken sect." In the blink of an eye, speaking of this today, this Xiong once again thought of that day when our dreams began, the moment when Daoist Shao ignited our hopes. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, donate it, and congratulations to the women's volleyball team for winning the championship, and also for the silent support of Benbin. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.